Legions, what is up? Happy Saturday, February 2nd, 2019. Welcome to the Twitch exclusive of the Division Debrief. It is awesome to have everybody in the stream this morning. Wow, the hype has been real. We're finally here. Oh, it's like a kid in a candy store for us, man. This is beautiful. Guys, good morning and welcome. I am JohnnyBoom. It's a pleasure to have you in the stream. Welcome to the Division Debrief. To my right is my fellow colleague and friend, the bearded wonder, living the dream, Mr. I am Janko. Janko, good morning.
Yo, what's up? Technically, I'm to your left, everybody. Or no, I guess I am to your right. Never mind. I'm an idiot. I'm looking at it backwards. What is up, everybody? It's so damn cool. Thank you, everybody that's turning out so far. It is super, super awesome to get this going. Johnny and I have been kind of talking about this for a month or so, if not a little bit longer than that. To get this all going, and so I just think it's going to be super dope. So thank you guys, everybody, for being here. We kind of want to start a little bit today with just kind of like who we are and, as individual streamers, because while this is definitely more community based and it's more, about us coming together to do something with you guys, we do this on our own anyway. So like, I've been in the Division community for quite a while. And at least since I've started streaming, it was the first game I ever streamed. And, you can find me at twitch.com or twitch.tv/IamJanko. And, I tend to have a chill atmosphere in my own channel with a lot of stupid hijinks and ridiculous shit that we talk about. Yeah, it gets a little stupid at times, but it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Johnny, where can people find you, man?
Guys, welcome again. For anybody who's new, who's been around the Division community, like Janko said, I am JohnnyBoom, JohnnyBoom5. JB is fine as well. My Twitch address, if I could get this right, all the pressure's on Twitch TV, /JohnnyBoom5. I also have been streaming the Division pretty consistently for 2 years. It's my primary game. I love the game. I was born and raised in the Northeast, Connecticut, so I spent a lot of time in New York. I think that's why the game really appealed to me. I've literally been on those streets that we run around on, and so eloquently love and get frustrated with at times, but that's not neither here nor there. I've also played some Destiny 2, and I've really gotten to appreciate and really have a respect for the Division community. It's a community that's been up and down, and it's really back on the upswing. They're hyped again for Division 2, as am I. I'm a late night streamer. Usually you could find me the wee hours of the morning from about 12 to 3 or 4 in the morning. And I love playing video games. Janko is a streamer, literally who I met, hosted, got to develop a rapport with, and I'm really thrilled to be doing this project with, because I think his passion for the Division matches mine, and I'm really psyched to be here. As you can see, I'm reporting live on scene. I'm in a safe house from an undisclosed location. We're not going to tell Rick Velasquez where we are, because he'll come looking for us, and he's weird. But yeah, man, I'm really, really excited to play this game. Again, JohnnyBoom5, you can see our info there. And I just personally, before we really jump into it, I want to thank everybody for the follows, and even Janko for all the hard work behind the scenes. I really think you guys are going to dig this new format and this style of which we want to bring you guys in and really get to, the meat and the potatoes, as they say in Connecticut, of what the Division is and isn't. And I really encourage everybody to sit back, relax, grab some coffee, grab a Red Bull, and let the good times roll. That's pretty much it.
Or some Diet Coke. Did they really say potatoes with a B out there?
Yeah, they say potatoes, they say soda, and they say warsh.
Unbelievable. How did you survive?
I I'm not really sure. I think my mom had a lot to do with that.
Potatoes. How can you not, like, I don't know. I would have trouble like going around not just asking people like, wait, what exactly is a potato? And can I find that in the dictionary under bees or peas? And how do you grow a potato? Does that make like vodka then?
It's potato and eggs, absolutely.
Potato and eggs.
Like pizza is not pizza, it's beats.
Wow.
Yeah, it's strange. So
fair enough.
You guys will learn the dialogue. We'll translate for you if you have questions along the way. So don't worry about it.
So essentially, you live in the Sopranos.
In the who?
In the Sopranos.
Yeah, I'm a soprano. I'm a soprano, man. Well, we can't talk about it, so.
Fair enough. As Johnny said, both of us have kind of been in the directory and have been Division streamers, but like we kind of wanted to do this as a way to talk about the show. I know me personally, from the first moment I logged into the Division, and there's a couple people in chat that I know in real life that I've worked with that they can attest to this, that like every single day that I would go home from work and I'd play the Division right after lunch, I would go in the next day and I would annoy the bejesus out of them with trying to like nerd out about builds or like, hey, I saw this or this. I still ride one of them about not being able to put together a good sniper build. And so like that's the passion that both Johnny and I both have, and that's why we wanted to bring this together, so that we had a community project where everybody can kind of talk about those things, and not just good things, not just build, but also be able to weigh criticism when it's needed, and have a discussion about it without the toxicity that a lot of times shows up in Twitch streams, on Twitter, online. Like you always get, the people that just want to be toxic, and they've got ideas, and they might not be bad ideas, but they just don't have a good way to kind of place it. So like we just wanted to really kind of come together so that we can talk about that kind of stuff in a positive way, and maybe change each other's minds, maybe be able to, show a different perspective. I know for me, I'm not a huge PvPer. I want to be in the Division 2, but we'll get to that later. Sure. For me, because I don't have a big PvP background, it's always valuable to be able to hear from people what their perspective is as a primarily PvP person, but then also share, well, if you make that change, it's going to affect PvE in this way. And hopefully with the Division 2, they kind of change that. But between that and just trying to bring news and all of that to you guys in one place where we can all be together and just hang out and have a lot of fun, hopefully. So, yeah, Johnny?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think one of the things, I am more of a PvE player. Between the PlayStation 4, which I primarily used for about a year and a half, and I also morphed over to PC Master Race. Loathe that term, but PC. I've accumulated, I think I'm around something like 4,000 hours. It's literally been a game. And for anybody who's been to my channel, briefly, my story is I rented the game because a friend of mine had it. He's like, hey, you want to play the Division? I'm like, what the hell is the Division? Apparently, the rest of the gaming world knew about this game for 7 years, and I didn't. But that's what happens when you're a putz. So I rent the game, and I wound up liking it. The volumes are pretty good.
Oh, Sorry, I muted to you. I was trying to ask Glow. I forgot you can still hear me
no,
when I mute to stream. Sorry, guys. Good. Growing pains.
Yeah, growing pains. We're fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Well, I guess there is. But yeah, I rented the game. A friend of mine kind of convinced me to. I tried it, and I never brought it back because I was late. And I was like, well, I might as well keep it at this point. And I just started to really get into the game. I loved the technology and like the cover-based. It just, the graphics, everything. I really dove into the game. I really got into PvE. I tried doing PvP in the beginning personally, and I didn't really enjoy it. And we are going to have plenty of shows to discuss why. But I'm with Janko. I really want to try and get into PvP more in the Division 2. I was really psyched when they announced the sequel. I thought personally they were going to do Extension of New York, and I was pretty surprised they went with Washington. But I think that's going to be a really cool place and and I really think everyone's gonna like the atmosphere there. I really do. One of the things I really wanted to accomplish with this, and that's why I was really psyched to team up with yourself, Janko, was I saw the Division community when the game came out, the typical negative rhetoric, and it wasn't unjustified either for the most part. The game's broken, the game's dead, it's got bugs, it's flawed, it's everything. And it was. There was a lot of issues. I gotta at least give the developers credit for sticking with it along the way and trying to implement the changes to at least get the people to enjoy the content. One of the things I saw when a lot of the bigger streamers left was people like myself and even smaller were like, listen, man, we just like this game. We like it for X, Y, and Z reasons. And the community started to develop this like, hey, man, like we know it's flawed, but we love it. I love survival. I love the DZ. And like, let's just have fun and let's just play. Personally, that's when my channel really started to develop in my community because people were like, hey, man, like, you seem like a cool, chill guy, like, and the game is like, I still love this. And, and that's what I really think this show and this content and this forum, if you will, is to really continue for everybody. Like Janko said, this is really for you guys. And we're going to include you guys as much as possible and really keep the positive vibes and information coming. So really thrilled to be on this project, and I really think you guys will like the content we're going to have over the next weeks and months. So again, thank you again. Good morning. Thank you for being here. That's really what I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, I want to echo or piggyback on something that Johnny said about the development cycle so far, about the Division itself and moving forward, because I do think at launch, obviously everybody that was around knows that there was just a ton of issues with the game and a ton of people left, and there was just an absolutely just a metric shit ton of toxicity and issues with it. But the developers really did massive, and I don't, was Red Storm involved from the beginning, or did they bring Red Storm in later? Because I didn't start hearing about Red Storm until like the first ETF, or maybe it was even 1.5.
Truthfully, I kind of really got into Twitch by mistake, and without making an elaborate story, like I told you, but for anybody in stream, I got into Twitch so a friend of mine could make a build and he could watch me and kind of critique it instead of like repeating every little statistic. And then I started to dive in and watch people like Mambo and LOK Macho, aka Macho right now. And I started to really dive into Twitch and watch people stream and get informed. I don't really remember hearing too much about them till later on myself, but that could just be me just being a total butz.
Yeah.
Does anybody in chat remember?
Yeah, I can't remember, Chad, if you guys can weigh in on that. I don't remember if Red Storm was involved in the beginning, but I know that when the ETF first got around for 1.4, it's when a lot of opinions started changing. And to be completely honest, yes, I think Massive did something that has kind of changed the industry from that point. And in that way, I honestly think the Division is kind of like trend setting, and it did something that nobody else did, at least as far as I know, with the ETF. And since then, we've seen now EA has their game changers, right, where they do the exact same thing. Last summer, when Destiny 2 was on, its last leg shit in the bed constantly, they had their community summit where they brought out a bunch of streamers and players, and those things, as far as I know, didn't happen before Massive had amazing success with the ETF when they brought people out and they kind of paused development of the game. They paused what was gonna, I remember Survival got pushed back a month or two because of that, because they knew that they had to fix the game. And to me, that shows a real dedication on their part about where they want their game to go in the future, and where they wanted it to go then, but then also where they want it to go in the future. And we seem to see that with all the information that's come out so far about the Division 2. It really looks like they've taken a lot of what we've said and what they've learned through this process of kind of fumbling at the beginning and bringing it around to where it is now. So
I give them a lot of credit for that too, and I think it was really successful because in essence it wasn't just traditionally like a Bungie or other, like you said, EA or other companies or developers and nothing against them. Traditionally, everybody posted things through Reddit or went through a specific website and said, this is broken and that's broken and we want to see this and nerf that. And the Division, through their developers, through Red Storm and Massive, they definitely did that. But then they're like, listen, let's just get these marquee players or people or personalities who have communities, and not only could, like, let's say X streamer who is small have a say, but the big streamer too, and they really got their feedback and they were playing the game and content and like bringing them in and being like, listen, like, what do you guys really like? I'm with you on that. I got to tip my cap there. I think that was really very much a trend-setting idea, and I think it was great for gaming beyond even the Division. And I think you really start to see the game, meaning the Division, really kind of change and swing. I mean, not always perfect, but I think you really saw the content really geared more towards what the community was feeling, which was great. I mean, yeah, the developers have a vision, but I think they were trying to mix their vision with some general feedback. Like, some people would come up with crazy ideas like, I want to see bicycles, and they're like, yeah, you're not, that's cool, but you're not going to see bicycles in the snow in Manhattan. That's just, we can't make that work. But if someone was like, hey, I think you should change the pulse to more crit hit chance, etc., they're like, okay, well, I'm listening to that idea. So again, credit where credit is due, and you'll see here on the Division Debrief, criticism where criticism is due. And I think that's a big part of this. And that's why we really, really want to bring you guys in, because we don't want our voice to go backwards. We want to keep it going forwards. And hopefully, it just transcends to the developers again, and they really get a sense for what worth seeing and feeling. And I will give them credit for that. I think Star Player and E3, I think they're all really cool and interesting. More specifically ETF, really good ideas. So
yeah,
I'm really excited about that.
Kirky, thanks for doing the behind the scenes stuff. Evidently, Red Storm was around from the beginning, and I just I don't remember hearing about them until 1.4 or whatever. But I think that was also when like State of the Game really started kind of changing, and they kind of started opening the curtains behind the scenes and showing us as fans and as the community what they were doing behind the scenes, and more importantly, who was doing it. And I don't know if that helped eliminate some of the toxicity that was being seen before, right? Because if a developer is seen as a person and not just a name and a picture on screen, then maybe somebody's not going to be as willing to tell them to go fuck themselves or something like that. I doubt it, because it's still the internet. But yeah, so and also on the bicycle thing, it's kind of funny because every time people were asking for like where the Division 2 was going to take place and stuff like that, I remember Chicago getting a lot of love, and because I used to live there, I wanted to see it, but I knew that then we would just have segways everywhere.
That would have been kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. Chicago would have been fun. I mean, that's the beauty of this game. You could have put it in almost any big city, and I think it would have been really interesting, just because of the nature of the pandemic and the agents and society, and there's something very much that kind of ties that all together. Chicago would have been cool. That's why I really liked Washington, because Washington inherently has lots of visual historical sites. Politics aside, you have the White House, you have all the different monuments. I've been there 20 years ago for a school trip, and I can't wait to go back, actually. And I was psyched when they said Washington. I thought that was a good choice. I don't know what everybody else thought. Well, I don't know what you thought, Janko. I liked it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good choice. When everybody was talking about where the game was going to take place, again, Chicago, New York. My personal one that I kept calling for, that I was kind of hoping for, which in hindsight, now seeing Washington, D.C. and being excited about it, my idea was stupid. But, I had thought of like Miami, because there's a lot of different feelings or areas, right? You've got residential areas, you've got the shopping areas, you have the downtown area, but then you also have this wide open, swampy kind of foresty, woodsy areas where you could have, wildlife that was a danger to you, the character, which we did see in one of the trailers. I can't remember which, but we did see that frog trying to attack that one agent. So, we get a little bit of that in Washington, D.C., but I think Washington overall was a great choice. I think if they would have gone with something like Chicago, it would have felt too similar. I know that they're very, very different cities, and if you've ever been to both, they definitely look distinctive, but in a video game format, especially, I mean, even if they change it to summer, it's still just like kind of like the big tall buildings, the residential, whatever. And I think with the game, and it seems like the story focus in Division 2 on more of the government aspect and what happened with the fall of the government and trying to save that and recover that. I think Washington, D.C. was a great choice, but I will say I still kind of hope that some of these little DLCs or whatever, like maybe they'll have one-offs in other areas, like maybe like a downtown London area, so that we can truly see the worldwide impact of the dollar flu and whatever. Yeah. I don't think some of those areas are going to be as recognizable to the world at large, whereas something like, and maybe this is just an egotistical American saying this, but I think Washington, D.C. is going to be far more distinctive visually than some of the other areas. I mean, unless you put us out in like the fucking pyramids or something, but that doesn't make sense.
That'd be pretty cool to shoot mummies, though.
Oh, God, don't even get me started on the zombies thing. Don't even get me started on the zombies. God, I don't want zombies in Division 2 ever. I'm so over zombies. And
I happen to agree, dude. No zombies.
Yeah, no, it's just, but you hear it constantly. People are like, we want zombie mode. No, we don't.
I know,
want
there was
zombie.
a big push for it. That was crazy. I was really surprised about that, but... You know, I think that's just a game. Is that Washington? Yeah, Kirky. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it was Washington.
Yeah, they get worse in Washington, and then they rinse it down with a soda. It's fine.
And that's after they eat their potatoes.
Their potatoes.
So
yeah, no, for sure, dude.
So yeah, as we've been we've kind of touched on some of the things that have been announced so far. If anybody is not up on what's going on, obviously, just as from a straight up basics point of view, the Division 2 launches March 15th. If you've pre-ordered one of the versions that gets an early access, which I think is every version other than the standard. I think it's everyone above it, because I know like the Ultimate Edition is like 120, and then like the other one I think is 60 or whatever, like the regular version. So I think everything above that gets early access, guaranteed early access, which goes live March 12th. And then I think all of those above the standard also get beta access, which actually goes live this Thursday, right? So like 5 days from now. So today's Saturday, 5 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 5 days from now. At 4 a.m. Eastern is when the beta itself goes live for people. And actually, I didn't have it. I did have it, but I don't have it. I can get... Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, sorry about that. Learning curves, there's going to be some things that we... learn as we go while doing this. But yeah, I had the graphics. I don't have them right now. But as far as the release date schedule for the beta, there was a graphic that has.
I remember seeing that. Let me see if I can find it on Twitter. If somebody could find it, like, let us know. Again, growing pains, and this is obviously like community too. So if you guys find stuff. We're open to it. As
a little bit of a background, like I'm running everything on my OBS and everything, and from my personal Twitch, I've got these set up in a resource with my Stream Deck and everything else, but then I have to set up a completely separate Streamlabs setup for this, and I completely blanked out of my mind that those resources weren't going to be available for me on this one. So, oopsie, I'm a putz, which we already saw because I tried to put up a sign that said I'm a putz, and it's backwards.
I love it.
Yeah, so that didn't work.
I remember seeing that graphic too, and
I've got it on Twitter. I can find it. Oops, I forgot to put out the tweet that we were live. Derp.
So I got it right here. I could shout it out to, if you don't mind. Mr. Magoo on Twitter posted a picture of it. If I'm thinking of the same thing you're talking of, if you guys want to follow him on Twitter, awesome guy in the community too. And you guys will see that. We'll talk about people, as fairly and as much as we can, because this is community based. But Magoo posted basically the private beta. Is that what we're talking about? February 7th through the 10th?
Yeah.
We're gonna have access to main missions, Grand Washington Hotel, Jefferson Trade Center. Open world content will be 5 additional side missions, control points, and activities. Not too familiar with that, truthfully. But then there's going to be 3 different areas of the Dark Zone, I guess, open, right? So this has it listed as Dark Zone and Conflict. The Dark Zone East, there'll be a skirmish PvP mode, and then Endgame. That looks like it's saying, if I'm reading this graphic correctly, it looks like it's going to say starts February 8th at 8 a.m. Pacific. I'm not sure why they're doing that, but maybe that's kind of cool, I guess, if that's the case. That's going to be Endgame. It says invaded mission. I've heard rumblings through the grapevine. I don't have like these massive connections, but just random people and through Twitter that shit's supposed to be pretty cool. I hope it's not too far to the end, because I don't want to get any content that's real close to the end, because if it's anything like the Division 1, I loved the ending of Division 1, like how complex and interesting it was, and I hope the sequel is the same. And then it says something about 3 specializations. I'm assuming that's the different loadouts.
Yeah. 1 sec. I'm gonna switch to this. Sorry about the it's kind of tiny on your screen or whatever, but this is what we're referencing, and Kirky left a stat down there. Honestly, with the invaded mission, what I have a feeling that might be is like a level 30 mission or beyond, kind of like, you know how in the Division you've got like your legendary, heroic, challenging, whatever missions. I wonder if that's just a regular game mission on legendary that we can choose, you know, one of the characters, because and that's the thing, without being in any of the other testings, I don't know if we get to create characters for this, or if we're gonna get like model characters, right? Like pre-made characters that we get to play, or if we create a character and then we add that specialization. I'm not exactly sure. The way that they've kind of presented the slice of Endgame starting at that time, it makes it seem like it almost might be like a separate thing where you choose one of those 3 and then play through that mission as one of those 3
and that would be specializations. Really cool. That'd be cool, because I know everyone's really, I mean, personally, and we can jump into this, and I'm sure we will. Those specializations look really, really cool. I think it's going to give everybody an opportunity to dive into. I know some people are really psyched about sniping. Some people are really excited. Pardon me. Words are hard. With the crossbow, and what's the third one? The Demolitionist, I believe.
The boom tube.
The boom tube.
The boom tube.
Oh my god, that'd be really cool if I got nicknamed the boom tube, and it was like the troll gun of the year. That'd be phenomenal. I'll take it. That's fine. Shameless, self promotion there, but I mean, those things are going to be really cool and really interesting, and I think that's the beauty of this. Is for anyone who loves the Division, I want to get your thoughts on this too, for sure, Janko. Like we're so used to seeing, say, like D3, Predmark, and Striker, and I think it's so cool to see how it's gonna either be the same or transition. I don't know. I mean, I did play the alpha. Sadly, I can't talk about it. I wish they wouldn't have made it that long, and I wish they would have let me talk more about it. But I'm really curious to see like where the game goes in terms of that, as far as like builds again, and how that will shape up. And the specialization thing seems really cool, because then, in my opinion, as you saw the classified gear, like you saw people forming roles. Like, I'm going to be a healer, and they'd run a sick reclaimer build. I'm going to be an Overwatch guy. I'm going to run a sick sentry build, et cetera, tank build D3. And I think people will really dig that really powerful one skill and or talent, however they choose to make it available to us. Kind of like Destiny. And Janko's a Destiny player. Like, I'm hoping and I'm assuming maybe it's kind of like when you pop Golden Gun and you
not anymore.
Oh yeah, well, not anymore.
Sorry.
No, it's yeah, I know for sure. I'm the same.
I forgot. I can't just whisper to chat. I also whisper in your ear. I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
You can hold up the sign and go like this again.
Yeah, well, it's backwards, so it doesn't matter. And I don't have a Sharpie, so you can't read it. But no, anyway, go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you or bust up your flow.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. There's no flow. Yeah, but I mean, I'm curious to see, like, if you run, like, say, the sniper specialization, like, how lethal that's going to be. And I think people will dig that if they tie it into, gear sets and or builds. So I'm curious to see how that works.
Yeah, I'm definitely going boom
A lot
boom
of
tube.
curiosity.
In the beta, I'm gonna try all three, obviously, but definitely with my plans as of right now are for the first one to go Demolitionist, just because I think it fits my playstyle more. I'm far too aggressive. Well, I wouldn't say far too. Yes, I will. I'm far too aggressive. As anybody that's in chat has, if you've ever grouped with me, you guys can all attest to how aggressively stupid I can be at times. Merlin is a huge fan of my aggressiveness.
Oh, the hell with Merlin. You know it.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely the Leroy. But and that's why, like, that just seems to really fit my playstyle. To be completely honest, I hope Predmark makes it into Division 2, but I hope that's the only gear set. I hope that there's no other gear sets. And I'm just mostly joking about that. I just have a love of Predmark in PvE.
Sure.
But I really, really hope that gear sets do not become in Division 2 what they are in Division 1. I don't want them to be something where, especially the 6-piece, is kind of ruined all build diversity in the Division. And one of the things that I really loved about Division at the beginning was the way that you could combo 2, 3, 4 pieces all together to make kind of a unique build. And obviously there was a meta and there was a best way to do it, Striker and Sentry early on and, whatnot. Like there were ideal for 2 and 4 piece sets that you could run, but you could still legitimately tackle a lot of the content, if not all of it, doing different things in different builds. And once the classifieds came out, you really were locked into just running a 6-piece. You
had to.
Yeah, I mean, you still could mess with things and do it a different way, but really at that point, you might as well just do it with clothespins on your nipples because you're just making it more difficult.
Jumper cables on your never mind. But yeah,
right.
Yeah, it really locked you in because otherwise you didn't take full advantage of the set. And at that point, I remember going back to the old hybrid builds. Man alive, that's when I really got into like Last Stand and Skirmish, and I felt, to me, that felt like more of like the true build. Like, I don't consider classified builds as like, oh, I'm gonna make a classified build. No, you're just gonna make it and you're gonna tailor it one of two ways, either to the standard of stamina or electronics or to whatever those benefits were. Whereas like the hybrid build, you could have like a lot of crit hit chance, a lot of healing, a lot of, still have a lot of DPS, but a lot of, it was just that hybrid build and that meta was fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. B-Crumbs just mentioned Ninja Bag, and it was, and that's the point I was gonna get to once we came off. That was the piece when you mentioned hybrid builds, Johnny. Ninja Bag to me was the best exotic they ever put in the game because it allowed for so many amazing builds to then be discovered, and that goes on. I'm really curious what your guys is in chat. What is your guys's favorite build combination or set that you ran? Keep classifieds out of it because again, I really, really honestly think that classified sets destroyed build diversity. But when the Ninja Bag came out, I put together this D3 Predmark set that was just absolutely phenomenal. And you could tweak it in so many. It started as like Predmark Striker because I was running. It started as D3 Striker D3 with 4 and 2, and then then the Ninja Bag came out, and then it went to D3 Pred, and then you could run like Striker, like just ridiculously cool build combinations, and then the Hexo builds were worth it.
Oh, Hexo, that's what I meant to say. I said hybrid. Thank you for correcting me. The Hexo build was, oh god, that was great.
Yeah, they were so great, and then that all completely got ruined when the 6 pieces came out, and it just it really, and that's why, like, the brand names, I know they're doing the gear brands or whatever it is in the Division 2, so I know that there's gonna be 2 or 3 set synchronicities that you can find. I just hope that they feel powerful and good to use and worthwhile to chase, but I don't want them to be so overpowered that like I feel like I have to run the hill figure, 3-piece instead of, being able to run like the Axe body spray, gloves with the MeUndies underwear or whatever, like I just don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm forced into running one particular one.
I agree with you. I really liked the Ninja Backpack days, the Hexoville days. When a lot of people were doing West 42nd 1v1s, 1v1 tournaments, a lot of people, even if that's not your thing, you got to at least, give credit where credit is due. They were wildly popular amongst a certain, core group of players, which is great. And I remember watching plenty of tournaments, like Macho used to do them all the time. Just for one particular notable guy. Shout out to Macho. And I remember seeing a lot of these players like run this electronics build. I mean, they'd have like 3,000 firearms. I'm like, how are you supposed to melt anybody with that build, especially in a 1v where it's essentially just 1v1. And they're like, well, because I can put shots on, and as soon as that other person starts to take a little bit of damage, or I do, I could get a heal. And people are getting like 3 and 4 second full heals and full over heals, and the time to kill was definitely higher, but I felt like it wasn't bad either, because if you still could burn people down if you landed a lot of shots. So to me, it was a lot of fun back then, like a lot of healing. I always liked a lot of volleying of shots. I don't like a super quick time to kill, especially because I'm not that good. So I want to survive as much as I can. But that diversity there, man. I mean, you'd go on Twitter or Twitch and you would see people, like you said, Pred D3. Someone in chat, Imperium said, I made a D3 Nomad. It's like, Kirky said 4-piece Lone Star with a refreshed mask and specialized. Yeah, I mean, those build, like, people would come out of the woodwork with these things, and it was like, dude, that's phenomenal, because there wasn't really a meta. It was more like a weapons meta at that point.
Yeah.
Blue Thunder. Let's go.
Yeah, I remember Big C mentioned UE Sanctionite upper echelon. I remember him running PvP tournaments too. And while I wasn't a PvP person at all, but part of that was because, like what you said, I'm kind of the opposite. I think because of my skill base, a faster time to kill in Division 2, I'm looking more forward to that as not as much of a skill player, because I feel like I can land a few shots, or I can land just enough to hopefully be able to kill somebody, whereas in the Division, I need to land 2,000 shots accurately just to try to kill somebody, plus then run, plus find cover, plus pop, and it's too much. I don't like it. I don't like too fast a time to kill, because, you mentioned Destiny earlier, and there's so many times in Destiny's PvP where, like, I'm running down a hallway, and I see somebody on my radar, and I'm going after him, and I'm dead, and I'm like, wait.
I know, yeah.
I don't even know what hit me, who hit me, where it came from. Like, I don't even know. So I don't want it to be too fast, but I definitely need it to be better.
Yeah. It's funny, I was actually playing Destiny 2 last night, like I told you, and I was playing with Kirky, and Kirky will probably know this, and it drives me nuts. I'm not a huge fan of one shot. Oh, let's say example like Golden Gun or one shot snipers, and I think that's one thing I might have to really get used to, and I get it. But I'm kind of with you in that regard. I guess when I'm getting my rear end handed to me, it's like, man, I wish the time to kills were a little higher, and you feel that sometimes in Destiny, more specifically with like the heavy stuff, but it should be. Whereas like when you go to play Division, you could have, I mean, going way back when people were running like, glass cannon builds, it was like, wow, dude, how the hell did I get melted so fast? But yeah, I'm sitting here with like an M60 and I'm shooting till Easter and nothing's going on. It's like, I kind of hope, without making it dumbed down and too casual, because I'm pretty much like an average guy when it comes to builds and PvP. I don't want it to be dumbed down so much where it's just like you could just use almost any weapon and it's just you don't feel the effects of, say, like an M60 to an assault rifle. I kind of wish you could feel that a little bit more, truthfully. But, I'm with you. Like that, and that's always the tricky part, I think, in any game, is getting that time to kill at that sweet spot to, appease most players. And I'm sure, and chat, believe me, I meant to throw this out too. If you guys have comments while we're discussing back and forth, that's why we're here. We'll try to get to them. We can't get to everyone, as we mentioned in the panels, but please chime in and talk amongst yourselves. We really want activity, and that'll help too. So
yeah.
Anyway.
And Crumbs mentioned, that like, yeah, you get them down all the way, then they all of a sudden fully heal just because you reload. And I remember very early on, one of the streamers I used to watch a lot of was a very heavy Dark Zone player. Shout out to Like Butter, but like he would be in there, and I remember the M7 or the MP7 meta early on with with
MP7 meta?
Yeah. And like I just remember him running dual MP7s because the reload was so fast so that exact thing didn't happen. You can burn them down, switch your weapons, and then burn them, finish burning them down while you didn't need to reload.
Yes.
And I really, keeping it focused on Division 2, like I really, really hope that not only with the gear sets and stuff, but I like weapon metas. I like there being weapon metas as opposed to gear set metas. But overall, I hope that they find a better way of making sure that 3/4 or 5/8 or fucking 7/8 in some categories of weapons are not useless the way they are right now. Like if you look at assault rifles right now, you've got the lightweight M4. And under that, I mean, you could still go with the LVAOC and that's pretty much it. Like, those are the only two. You can use a G36. There's nothing against it. But, like, if you want to really be good, PvP or PvE, you can't really use the slower firing, higher damage per bullet guns. They just aren't as effective. And I hope they find a way, especially with the new mod system, to balance that out.
Yeah, I remember talking to one of the homies, and shout out to our buddy, the Dork Overlord. One of his friends and one of my friends, Carbink, makes a lot of fun PvE builds. And one of the things he tried to impress upon me and get me to switch to a Salos, for example, was the P416. Now that thing hits like an absolute dump truck in PvE. But like to your point, if you were to match up with somebody who's got like an MP7 with hurried, or a lightweight N4 with like really high rounds per minute, they're landing more bullets faster. In theory, comparatively to the, like, say the P416, it's a little bit slower, and those bullets should be hitting a little bit more. And you didn't really feel like, wow, this guy's spraying 100 bullets a minute, and I'm only spraying 50. Just use easy round numbers. And while my first 20 should really chunk him, they weren't. And I think that if they get that right, it'll bring more gun diversity into the game. Again, very similar to like in Destiny, you see everybody running, a very particular hand cannon or a very particular pulse rifle. And then you have some ones that are on the back end and they're like, no, I'm not going to use that because X, Y, and Z. And that's always, I think, the hard part of balancing and getting things. You want to have some separation, but you don't want those huge gaps. That's a tall order. I'll be honest, I would not want to be in that department.
No, I wouldn't either. I think Dork Overlord has a good point that, you need to make the faster RPM weapons have more spread, more reticle spread. I think that's always needed to be a thing. I think it also needs to have more recoil and feel that recoil, so it forces you more for short bursts. Yes. And that's why I said I hope that the mod system helps that, because if you can't just completely stack weapon stability or whatever, you're gonna feel that recoil even more. But I almost wonder if part of it in the Division 1 was because of the way everything was percentage based, and so your armor mitigation, if I'm hitting you for 1,000 and you've got 20% armor mitigation, you're literally negating, 200 points of damage before you take anything else into consideration. So that's one bullet that might take me 2 seconds. Whereas if I hit you with 2 bullets for 500 each, technically you're mitigating the same amount, but I'm hitting you more, which is causing more effects and everything else. And so it's just, I really, really hope that they do that. One of the things
you and I talked about, and I'm pretty sure Kirky, was like, for example, burst fire guns, like the burst fire MP5. I actually tried that at one point, and it's not good.
Tried it once. I hate them when they drop in survival, man. Every time they drop in survival, I'm like, come on, just kick me in the nuts.
like I'd rather have the hunter like axe me in the head than get like a burst fire. And I could totally see them being really cool with like a shield build, but like again, if you have a guy who had like a lightweight and then you had a guy who's running around with a burst fire MP5, you were cooked. I mean, it was over before it started, and it still is to this day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree very much with Kirky. Make burst rifles feel like pulse rifles in Destiny. 100% agreed. If they do that, I would love it, because as a Destiny player, I love pulse rifles. One of the things I'm hoping for is even scout rifles. I love scout rifles, aka the Jade Rabbit. I think that's phenomenal. But I think it'd be really cool if they made the burst fires like really tangible, really maybe speed up the RPMs, but still have them shoot and burst, like almost like the Bullfrog, aka what's the name of the gun in COD?
The FAMAS.
Thank you, sir. The FAMAS. I really hope burst rifles or subs really go that route, because that'd be really fun in my opinion, to throw up a shield and be like brap, 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 and people are like, whoa, let me get the hell out of here, you know what I mean? Because now if someone's got a burst fire, like, yeah, that's cool, dude, do you mind getting out of the way so I could just kind of like walk by you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
I think weapon handling has a lot to do with that, because you and Kirky mentioned the pulse rifles in Destiny. One of the great things to me about those are how fast the reticle returns to its original spot, and you can get into a really nice rhythm with the brah, 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 and they're really predictable. And in the Division, because of the way that the weapons handled, it just seemed like 3 bullets went kind of pretty much right where they were going, and that reticle, there wasn't as much of a need to replace your reticle on your enemy until you get into like bolt action snipers and stuff like that. I really do think that adjusting that could make them feel so much better.
Agreed.
Because it's always been ironic to me that, like, in Destiny, now in Anthem, in almost any game I play, I gravitate towards those pulse rifles. Even in Anthem, in the demo, the scout rifle or the marksman rifle I use in there is a 3-shot burst. One of the auto rifles I really like in the game is a 4-shot burst. Like, there's something about them that feel good in every game, with the exception of the Division. And I remember, I think it was 1.4 or whatever. Foxhound had said it earlier. I had totally forgotten when the Ninja Bag came in, it was absolute garbage for like the first 6 months. I totally forgot. It was just,
that's true.
It was just so, and that was the thing. I remember, I think it was that same patch that burst fire weapons got a buff. And I remember going out like day one of that patch, getting one, and then trying it, and immediately threw it away. And I've never tried one again.
I know, and it's funny because if you kind of look and remember, like, the Urban MDR came out and everyone's like, wow, the hype was all this for what? And then everyone tossed them out. They got a huge buff. They became godly if you use them the right way, and they still are. Like, to me, when I think MDR, I think Jade Rabbit and Destiny 2, and I love it. And again, I know we compare Destiny and Division a lot because, I play that a lot. I know you have. And if, again, like, I was playing it last night, and man, there's something really nice about that semi-auto blap, 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 and getting nice, chunky damage. I'm actually really excited about the lever actions myself. The one thing I really would love to see, maybe it's there, maybe it's not, I don't know, I hope, is I'd love to see being able to take, like, for example, like an assault rifle and change the firing mode type. I don't know if you guys would agree.
Like a selectable fire mode?
Yeah, like if you have an AR, like in real life, you have a full auto, semi, and well, I guess single shot would be semi. But yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to change that, like, and you could hear almost like a little click, and then like full auto. I mean, if anyone's ever shot a full auto, AR, it's not laser beam, like kind of like it is now. It's like you better hold that thing. Whereas like most servicemen, at least from the ones I have talked to, they'll put it on semi-auto, and they'll be like click 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 as fast as their finger will allow them, and then it's laser like. And I think that'd be really fun. I personally do.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. Dork, dude, I love you, man. I love that no comparison between Destiny and the Division. And here's the thing: I've actually been on a really big kick about this particular topic later, so I don't want to like derail us too much. But I think comparisons are valuable when we're drawing from our own experience as far as what we like in one game versus another game. I think direct comparisons of games is fucking idiotic, but that's just that. Like, I think, you know, there's too much of it in the gaming industry right now, and I think as gamers, there are enough games for all of us to enjoy, and all games are going to exist in a Venn diagram, right? Like there's going to be, you know, you've got the Destiny 2 circle, you've got the Division or Division 2 circle, you've got the Anthem circle, you've got even like MMOs like World of Warcraft, which couldn't be more different in so many different ways than the other games. There's still a portion of that circle that's going to overlap with others, and it's those overlapping parts that make us relate to each other as gamers, which is why I do draw those comparisons. But I hate it when people are like, oh, this looks so much like that. Well, yeah, but you know, to me, I'm old. Some of these systems that are in these games, you know, have been around from the beginning. So like, oh, it feels like asteroids because I'm shooting stuff. Wait, what? Like, I've got a fire button, so this feels like asteroid. No, it doesn't. I have to dodge stuff. This is like Pitfall. Wait, what? No, dude.
Well, it's funny too, and I don't want to get too far off the topic either, but it's I think a lot of times, you know, you get a community maybe like ours, or even vice versa, like Destiny, and they're like, our game's nothing like the Division, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And I respectfully, I know Dark's only joking around, but I completely disagree. I see way too many similarities between the Division and Destiny. In fact, I think there's a lot more than we maybe like let on. Because, you know, you'll have like a hardcore person who loves the Division like myself, and they're like, oh man, like I don't want to be compared to a game like Aliens, like an alien shooter. But the fact of the matter is, those weapon types and those guns, they're very similar.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things we can learn from them, both good and bad. I really do. And to your point, like when it becomes like, you know, people just, how you can't compare, and they get all bent out of shape about it. I'm like, well, you can. I mean, I think it always causes for a healthy, discussion.
Yeah. I totally actually agree with you, Jack, on the G36. It's one of my biggest frustrations with weapon balancing in general is certain guns have that third talent that, yes, you can reroll, but for the most part, I understand their idea of when they put it in. But in practice, it's kind of crap. I know for a fact, I've been going for, I think, a year and a half now trying to get a good M700 carbon. And I cannot get one with two talents that are useful so that I can reroll elevated off. Because while elevated is okay, it's not the most useful talent in the world. And the G36 would be honestly one of my favorite guns, especially in survival, to build in the dark zone if I got that third talent. But focused in survival is just fucking useless. And so it just, I wish that those guns did not have that, and that was more reserved for exotics so that they could be balanced. But from what I've heard, exotics are more about are more just about their appearance now, as opposed to having specific abilities or talents.
Which I think would be cool. And I guess again we'll have to really wait and see. And I think that's why everybody should be really psyched. I know Janko and I are. Again, words are hard.
I is excited for potatoes.
I is excited to war shit down. I think it's, the hype is there, and it should be, and I think we're all really excited. I feel like the Division 2 is getting a crack at what maybe necessarily we didn't get, or they didn't get right, or what we always wanted. I guess we'll wait and see. I don't know. But, I think that's going to be a lot of fun when this beta drops. So we'll see.
I know
a lot of things to see right now.
No, there really are. And what are words? Words are hard, Snake. That's what words are. Words are hard. I do think specifically about the beta coming up. I'm curious, chat, what you guys are most looking forward to. And I know some of you have played the alpha, so you guys may already know this. So I don't want you to, necessarily break NDA by like posting those things and like don't post comparisons if you have played it. Don't say like you know, like you hope that this has changed or this hasn't changed. But I know for me specifically, as it comes to the beta, I'm super curious about things like that, like gun talents, how they feel, because being completely honest, from some of the gameplay I've seen, it looks like recoil is going to be hugely like it's going to be a much bigger factor now than it was in the Division 1. So like that weapon balancing, maintaining of your fire, of your reticle on your enemy is going to be more of a struggle, I guess, which to me I'm okay with as long as it's not too much. And then gun talents, but and so yeah, I'm curious about those, and then I'm also curious about other stuff, but I was going to bunch it all into one, but then I realized if I do that, I'll be sitting here for 15 minutes about all of the things. So, like, what's your top thing that you're looking forward to in the beta, specifically, Johnny, but then also chat? What are you... Blink twice. I was going to say that to Johnny earlier when he was talking that he had played the alpha. I was like, dude, blink if this is in, because eventually he was going to blink, and I'm like, oh, it is! You just broke NDA! No.
Listen, I got to tell a quick side story about the NDA. So somebody, for most of you guys who know me, and this is one of the reasons I love doing these, and I'm glad to be doing this show, and I love to stream, is because a lot of times I love to get on my soapbox. And the hardest thing in the world, and I still laugh because when I got like when I found out I was getting the alpha, you know, I was talking to Janko and Kirky and everybody, Dork, etc. You know, and I found out, so I was like, dude, I can't talk about anything. I was like, that, excuse my language, that, well, I was gonna say excuse my language, so I'm not gonna swear. That killed me because, God, I was so excited to get my hands on something firsthand and first crack at it, and I was like. And we used to joke around. They're like, how was it? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, I don't know. And like, I had the alpha, I think, an hour or two or the first day. And I posted a picture of me downloading, like the load screen of the game downloading. And I get a message and I'm like, take that down. Just warning you. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm an hour or a day into it. I forgot what it was. It wasn't very long. And I was like, even to this day, and I kind of wish they would drop the NDA of 5 years. I think that's ridiculously excessive. There's no need for a 5-year NDA on that. But that's pretty much standard. And that's the hard part is like, we got a lot of that. Blink if it's there. And it's like, you know, I can think now the good thing is for everybody who was upset they didn't get alpha, the beta's coming out. And then I don't know what's in alpha and what's not in beta and vice versa, but I think everyone will be finally excited to get their hands on a product and really, you know, dive into it, which is great. So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
But what was the question again? Because I'm stupid.
Oh, you're talking about shock ammo, Snake. Okay, that's what I thought you meant, because I did see that they added those into like the Grey Rogue safe houses, and I thought that was ridiculous. Yeah, from the Thieves Den. So I was just curious about chat, what they were talking about. But I was curious what you're most looking forward to in the beta.
Sure.
To play test, to check out, to see, like just anything.
I think, you know, I hate to be like, you know, plain Jane and boring here, but I really think I'm with you. I think it's threefold. And maybe not in this in order, I really want to see what PvP is like. I think the big mistake I made in Division 1, and then there's a lot of reasons for it, but I think I catered way too much to doing PvE, which is fine. PvE is fun, and I enjoy it, and I think I'm pretty good at it, but I think I was a lot of times afraid to fail at PvP, especially on stream. Because, like, let's be honest, in this community, it's great, but even on Twitch, like, nobody wants to watch somebody PvP and then just it's them dying over and over and over and over and over for an hour. Like, maybe they get one roadkill in a PvP engagement. Which is why, again, on a side note, I won't get off the rails here. I loved Skirmish and Last Stand. Just because I felt like it brought a more natural feel, and it kind of just was... I mean, other than like certain broken metas in there, I really enjoyed that PvP because I felt like I had more of a fighting chance there, and it was more. I never liked the rogue timer. I still don't see why you have to sit on the ground and rot away for 30 seconds to let people emote on you, and that's a whole nother discussion. But you know, I like the fact that you could just get in there and play and just rinse and repeat as far as like living and dying. So I would say PvP I'm really, really excited about. I really want to test out the new rogue mechanics, which we could talk about. in detail in a little bit. I would assume. I would think the other thing, again, not to ponyback you, but I'm really curious myself, is the customization between weapons and the character. The characters all look a little different, and I'm curious to see. I know we heard some rumors or some information being released about pieces being able to be dyed and changed. I think everyone's gonna really like doing that and getting a real personal customization on your character, because it really brings you into the experience the more you could do that.
Yeah.
And I would say thirdly, I'm really curious to test out and see how these specializations are going to work. And I know that's pretty much what everyone's looking for, but some people are like, oh, no, I don't care. I'm more worried about builds, or I'm more worried about, the drones, or I'm more worried about, you know, whatever. I think those two things, and not in that order: customization, PvP experience, aka with the normalization, and yeah, I think those are my three things. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know when the game first launched, I avoided PvP like the plague, because again, I'm not good at it. My Twitch fucking reflexes are just not good. And I'm actually curious, Snake, did you used to play on PS4, or do you still play on PS4? Because I honestly think I recognize your name from the Dark Zone from early on. I honestly think that you've farmed me like repeatedly before, and that's totally fine because I'm terrible. But it's interesting because as we started this discussion, Snake put in chat like just survive, and I know he was talking about something else, but that was the only thing that the Dark Zone offered me was PvE, farmability, and then run and hide from players. And that was a lot of fun for me. And even it was kind of funny because when I first started streaming, I just like you had said, like, you don't want to go into the Dark Zone and get pwned for 4 hours, right? Because everybody's just gonna leave. But what I kind of did, and it was kind of a fun little thing that I used to do, was like surviving the Dark Zone, and I would go in solo and show people, hey, especially once they changed the boxes to give you caches that got you div tech and whatnot, then you could run around, collect those, put those on, and like I would really run like little mini tutorials about how to survive in the Dark Zone, how to get your shit out by yourself. And sometimes you run up against a 4-stack, it's just not going to happen. But that cat and mouse game in the Dark Zone was where I did get a lot of fun in the Dark Zone. I remember Triforce me, it was our old
Click.
Yeah, it was Triforce, me, Foxhound, and Nicole, and we would run in there and to try to loot, because at that time that was the only place to get loot, and I despised it. It's because like I'd finally get a piece of loot that would drop, and then as we were on our way to the extraction, get smoked and somebody else picks it up, and I was like, God damn it! Like I was so close to finally getting my Striker 4 piece, and then like that doesn't happen, because you would drop loot as you got killed. And so I'm interested in PvP. This is how I'm going to tie that all back together. Like, I'm mostly interested in the new Dark Zone. I wish we had, and I hope that they have, because I know we only get one Dark Zone, so we get Dark Zone East. I hope that they somehow introduce the occupied Dark Zone mechanic and how that's going to work in the beta, because I want to get a feel of the normalization of the Dark Zone versus the occupied Dark Zone. I really want to know.
That one's going to feel more like the old quote unquote Division 1, where you literally could run around and be like, hey, that guy's not paying attention, and shoot him in the back. See, I always liked that. I really, and I got really, and I went on record on this, and it's probably to a fault, but I didn't like how they were like, hey, the DZ's the Wild Wild West. Anything goes. It's crazy town. It's rogues. It's chaos. It's hectic. And then they went, well, now we're going to make you flag for it. And I'm like, and then I remember at one point before that, they were literally saying, like, we don't want to, offset that balance. But to me, flagging totally offsets that. It's literally like, it's sending an invite to everybody going, hey, man, I'm about to get crazy. And I still don't like that. And that's why I think I'll like both versions. I know a lot of people were pissy about that. I actually think that would be cool. You can go into one Dark Zone and have one experience, and then you can go in the other one and just go excuse my language, balls to the wall, like ham. Like it really is just total chaos. And I think that'll be fun in doses. So when you're like, hey, I'm getting pawned or I'm getting sick of this and I'm just not doing well, I'll go jump on another DZ. I think that's going to be a nice choice for people. I really do.
Yeah, I get you. The Rogue 2.0 mechanic, I've been a big fan of them changing from that chaotic Dark Zone experience at launch, simply because there wasn't enough PvE to grind at endgame. Like, there wasn't enough to do, right? Before they threw in the open world bosses, and then even when they did, they were only on a 4-hour timer. You know, you can run them in 30 to 40 minutes. If your build sucks, you know, maybe it takes you an hour and a half, but then, you know, then you still have 2.5 more hours that if you're primarily a solo player, there's no way for you to get gear. And especially really early on, when the Dark Zone named bosses and the caches and stuff were the place to go to get gear set items, because there was no focused grind for particular gear sets. So you really had to grind. Your focus was more on pieces per hour grinded or looted, as opposed to being able to focus, you know, Falcon Lost or whatever. I did not like the chaoticness of the Dark Zone at that point, because then you get plebs like me that are just going in and trying to get gear because it's the best and a kind of only way to get that gear, and I'm getting annihilated by 4 stacks or by people that, you know, really truly love PvP, and I'm not offering them PvP. I'm literally just a lamb for them to slaughter. And so I didn't like that. So I liked the Rogue 2.0 mechanic specifically because there wasn't enough to do outside of that. However, I still thought, and I still think that instead of the Rogue 2.0 mechanic, it should be a complete flag mechanic, where when you go into the Dark Zone or you're in that safe house, you either flag PvP enabled or you flag PvE only, and have specific rewards for PvP flagged only people. And I don't necessarily mean tier-wise. I mean, like, maybe clothing sets or, you know, whatever. Like, some kind of reward to make it worthwhile for people to go into the more chaoticness, or the more chaotic Dark Zone as opposed to the regular Dark Zone. But do that at the beginning so that way everybody knows what they're getting into.
Yeah, the expectations are there. And I remember you saying that plenty of times. And I happen to agree with you there. I would have been okay with that. Because you literally knew what you're getting yourself into. And I understand when you put it from that standpoint of how a lot of people didn't like just having to farm the DZ, because it was the best place to get gear. If you had a 4 stack and you were able to figure out early on while the landmark went down, they'd be like, oh, cool, I'll go there. And then there's Johnny and Jane and Jill, and oh, look, they got backpacks, and we're going to light them up, and we don't have to announce to it. And then they got gear. And then they went and crafted, and maybe they knew how to craft better, or make a build better. And then literally it was rinse and repeat, and they'd hover around and they would just mow people down. And I was okay with it, but I understand the frustration with it. I was okay with the Wild Wild West factor, because that's what they had promised. That's what their vision was. But I understand the frustration, and that's where I think they made a nice change to open up gear. I mean, literally everywhere. And it satisfied people who wanted to farm and play more. I think the one mistake till this day that they did was they never made the LZ a good enough place to farm. I mean, you had open world bosses, and you'd have some people who could drop things, but it was very rare. You could do the open world bosses in like a half hour.
Yeah.
So, I just want to touch on something real quick, because I think it's kind of relevant. Jack made a comment, and I just want to throw this out there. He said Last Stand was a joke, if you ask me. And I'm not saying like this is a bad, I'm just reading his comment. Last Stand was a joke, if you ask me. It was fun to play, but when you mess with the stats of people, I'm not telling anyone yet. They never not told anyone though, Jack. That's the only thing. They literally told everybody you were going to be normalized. So I think maybe what they should do, and maybe even hopefully with the sequel, is kind of clarify a little bit more in detail as it comes out how the normalization will be, because I think a lot of people are going to like it, especially people who aren't in the hardcore realm or the really competitive realm, or even the person who just likes to consistently do it and is maybe above average. You got to remember, there's a lot of average to below average PvP players, even in gaming, myself included. Now, if it plays off better, and I wind up developing my skills, and that's one thing. But yeah, I just wanted to touch upon that, and I respect your opinion, Jack. I love your face, man. I just wanted to throw that one out there. It's not like they hid normalization in Last Stand, though. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I do think it would help if they came out and specifically said, like, so far when they've talked about normalization, they've talked about how, your gear choices will still matter. They're just trying to reduce some of the valleys. Like, if you get up to a certain level of damage and then you peak above that they're just removing that, but then they're also removing some of the floor, right? So that if you're build really, really blows, that you're not just going to get absolutely annihilated. And I'm curious to see how that's going to work. And that's why I said I hope in this beta that they've got the occupied dark zone at least go active, because we still don't know how that's going to work. We know one of the dark zones will be occupied, but we don't know if that's going to run on a timer, like the contamination events in the dark zone, or like drop zones, or like, because I'm going to be honest, as much as I was never a fan of the chaotic dark zone, if I am in a group with anybody in that dark zone, and if it does work like a contaminated event, and I've said this from the beginning, and we get that timer that, like, this dark zone is gonna be occupied in 2 minutes or whatever, everybody in my group watch the fuck out, because I'm shooting you in the back as soon as that happens. The first time it happens, just because I just want to do it. I had so much fun in Wildlands getting people in my helicopter when I knew that they didn't have parachutes, and then just like me parachuting out as the pilot and making them die, because that kind of shit is fun from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you consistently do it, I mean, everyone's like, yeah, you want to play? Like, no, man, I'm busy washing my hair, but I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. That could be fun. Like, you could have some controlled chaotic fun. I mean, you could literally do like a whole, you could almost do like a Russian or a rogue roulette with that, so to speak. Like, all right, guys, we're gonna flip a coin, and then boom, it's on everybody, and just do like your own personal little, Royal Rumble, so to speak. I think you could have a lot of fun with that.
Well, I just think, like, and I know a lot of people are speaking out about it because they want to be able to know when it's, which dark zone it's going to be, so that they can plan and make sure that they're on. Because, like, if somebody really likes, like, Dark Zone South and they can't log on today, and that's going to be the dark zone that's occupied today, that really sucks. But what I think would be super fun is, imagine if you, me, Imp, and Kirky are all in a group, and we're in the dark zone, and we've got some loot, and we don't know what it is yet, right? Because that's the thing I really like about the contaminated loot change that they've made in Division 2, is that you don't know what your loot is until you extract it, right? It doesn't actually generate the item until you extract it. So there's no more, and I meant to say that earlier, so there's no more of that, like, yay, I finally got my striker's piece, and then like, oh, now I don't have it. I don't even know what that is. So, like, in a way, I don't care as much about it, but, let's say we get that warning, hey, this dark zone's going to be occupied in 5 minutes or whatever it is, but, we're all friends, so we just keep doing our thing, and then we're heading to that extraction point, and it's like 30 seconds, and it's like, I don't know, I think that's going to add some really fun tension among friends, and possibly end some friendships, where, like, we may very well all just stop and just look at each other, and we're all going to hear the Clint Eastwood music in the back of our head, and then maybe some sagebrush comes running along or something like that. Just as we try to figure out exactly what the fuck we're going to do. Yeah. But I also think that's going to discourage, but also add some fun for some people, discourage a lot of random groups being made in the Dark Zone, which is why I really like that if I queue up solo for the Dark Zone, I will be put in with solo players who then can group if they want, but then I think that is a mechanic that will then keep people from grouping. So that way you don't end up with, like 12 people trying to queue up solo with 4 of their ideas of getting together, grouping up, and then just mowing down 8 other solos, I think that could be super fun.
Socks and sandals, eating pineapple pizza, you're getting shot on sight.
I know. I've already flat out said, Kirky and somebody else were talking, I think, on Twitter about Crocs and socks. They wanted that as like a customizable option, or like as a clothing option in game. And I flat out said, if you ever want to see me go perma rogue, you add Crocs and socks into the Dark Zone. And I
love some of these comments, by the way, guys. This is fantastic.
I will go absolutely fucking ham on anybody wearing socks and Crocs or socks and sandals. So. You guys, socks and sandals people almost killed Hugh, for God's sake. Like, I got to get revenge on all of you.
Snake says, I said this earlier, if I can't wear a tank top and booty shorts, I'm uninstalled. This game sucks, man.
I can't wear booty shorts.
Listen, I'm with you. I want to have like a tank top and have like the hamburger meat like sticking out of the top.
I mean, I've seen muscle shirts, right? And the Division store is actually selling a guns out, suns out, guns out fucking sweatshirt, right? Like a hoodie without sleeves. So I know that we're gonna have gear like that in the game. And for me, that customization I hope, and I don't know if it's going to happen, this gets back to the beta discussion, I hope that we get to create a character with full character customization options from the game. I don't think we're going to be able to, but I hope we can, because it's my biggest question that nobody has touched. Like, none of the developer. I want to know if the character creation and customization is closer to Wildlands or closer to the Division 1. It's not going to inform, like, it's not going to change my choice. I'm still buying the game. It's still going to be the only game I play and stream for months. But I want to know if I can get a big bearded dude that looks like himself, as opposed to walking into the base of operations and seeing 14 twin brothers that I never knew my mom was such a slut. Right? Like,
fair enough.
Why did she separate us all at birth? Right? Wow. There's 10,000 of us all walking around looking exactly alike. I want to know, if she died in childbirth, and if she didn't, how that happened, and why she separated us all. I don't get it. Sorry, that was a terrible joke, but I was rolling with it for a minute, and I had an idea where it was going to go, and then I totally lost it.
You got a mild golf clap going on. I got you. Quick question: do you want to pull up one of the trailers? Maybe?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Which one did you want to do first?
What do you have queued up?
I've got the story trailer. I mean, we're talking about the beta and Dark Zone, so I'll pull up
maybe that one.
Yeah, I'll pull up that one.
Just quick, guys, for anybody who's new, lurking around, or if anyone's not sure, I know some people pop in and out, which is terrific. Beta launch date, February 7th through the 10th.
Yep.
So, there you go. That's coming soon. There we go, guys.
Yeah, and depending on where you're at, I know it's going live at 1 a.m. Eastern Pacific Standard Time, so, adjust for your own time zone. And I do want to get to that later, because I actually think that's a super, super cool... a super cool thing that they're doing with the kind of spread release, depending on where it is, and the very particular time. We were having a chat and stream the other day about it, how I think it's actually brilliant that it's 4 a.m. on the East Coast, 1 a.m. on the left coast, because, like, we all saw what happened last week with Anthem servers, right, when they did it at noon on a Friday, right? Everybody was trying to go in, and they basically DDoSed themselves because their servers were terrible. But at 4 a.m., you've got people on a Thursday that have to work that day at 9 a.m. Those people aren't going to stay up till 4 a.m., right, on the East Coast. They're not going to stay up till 4 a.m. just to try to get in, play for 2 hours, and then go to work. Like, that's not going to happen. So that's going to eliminate some of that server strain from the beginning. And then, then the West Coast people at 1 a.m., they may get on. But then if they need to be to work, they're going to be on till 2, 3, 4 o'clock, but then they're going to log off so that they can, get some sleep before they go to work. And I think it's going to really, really help the server flow at the beginning. And I'm really, really curious to see how all of that works. Just don't go to work. A lot of people don't have that option, especially on a Thursday. And that was the other thing that I thought was brilliant about them doing it on a Thursday as opposed to a Friday. It's easier for people to be able to take a 3-day weekend and not go to work on a Friday, but to take a Thursday off isn't as easy for some people. So, yeah. Oh, I'm sure there'll be a lot of fake sick days coming up. Anyway, here's the Dark Zones and Conflict trailer, since we're talking about the Division, and we were talking, or the beta, and we were talking specifically about these topics. Let me know how volume level is.
Division 2 Agent Briefing. Dark Zones and Conflict. 7 months after the virus outbreak, Washington, D.C. is on the brink of collapse, threatening the fate of the entire country. You, agents of the Division, are the last line of defense. At launch, the Division 2 will offer a realistic and immersive experience, including an accessible range of online multiplayer activities across 3 new Dark Zones and Conflict, our organized PvP modes. After attempts to eradicate the virus failed,
God, I love this
quarantined
music.
areas quickly formed and an insufficiently tested chemical was deployed, DC-62.
Diarrhea
The
crab
results
62.
were devastating. DC-62 proved to be just as lethal and left a path of desolation across concentrated areas of the city. Dark Zone, the Division's intense mix of PvP and PvE, is returning. The Dark Zone is a unique environment filled with rewards.
Those gates open like that. That's pretty
where
badass.
anything can happen.
Dude, I need a
and
T-Rex
no
to pop
one
out of
can
that
be trusted.
fucking thing though as soon as it
Agents will now
opens.
be able to access 3 different Dark
It
Zones.
looks so much
each
like
with its own
Jurassic
distinct
Park. It
environment,
really does.
landmarks, and challenges.
Hold on, we're gonna go
And
back
up to
because
12
like
elements filled with
you guys.
rewards,
Did I
where
miss it?
anything can happen and no one.
Yeah, it's as soon as it says Dark Zone.
The Division's
Like,
intense
that
mix
is the
of
doors to
PvP
Jurassic
and
Park.
PvE is
I
returning.
just want to hear the music and have somebody make a meme of a dinosaur.
The Dark Zone is a unique environment
Look, there
filled
it
with
is.
rewards,
It totally is.
where anything
Yep.
can happen and no one can be trusted. Agents will now be able to
DC-69.
access 3 different Dark Zones, each with its own distinct environment, landmarks, and challenges, and with up to 12 players sharing the same zone. The 3 different Dark Zones host a wide variety of environments and gameplay, providing players with a renewed experience and different
that's the
challenges
expansion
every
when
time
I-
they play.
Yep.
The walled-off Dark Zones have remained untouched by scavengers, leaving these areas filled with high-level
Those
equipment.
guns sound great, man.
I wish I
But
could
some of
hear
these
them,
items are toxic
like
and will need
the
to
way
be
that people that have
extracted
played the
before they
Alpha
can
or
be
whatever
used.
have, because that's one of the things I've really heard is that sound
Agents
design
can obtain equipment by
of the
clearing
weapons and
landmarks,
just feel of all the
taking
weapons
down enemy
is
factions,
so fucking great.
or securing supply
Blink
drops,
twice, the
but
weapons
also
sound.
by embracing new ways to play as they turn against other agents. This is classified as going rogue.
One eye, remind me about that when we start talking again, because
Rogue
I have
agents
a.
can now lockpick supply crates,
I'm 150%
steal
behind
other
that idea.
agents' contaminated gear before extraction, and hack SHD terminals to obtain valuable resources. But some still prefer a more radical approach, at the risk of becoming a target of their own. There are now 3 different
go.
rogue statuses that present players with a variety of ways
gonna
to
be
combat
me.
other agents in the Dark Zones, whenever they choose. Dark Zones are an experience where players need to balance risk with reward.
That's so cool, man.
They are normalized environments
Ooh.
where all players have the
Agents
chance
down.
to succeed. Automated turrets guard
Oh
the
wait,
entry points.
okay,
and
I need to
protect
stop this for a
newcomers
sec
from
because
predatory
I just noticed something that I had never noticed before. When this chick comes
newcomers
flying
from
forward,
predatory rogue agents and enemies.
hold on, did I go back too far?
This gives players
Did I
the
not
freedom to
go far
engage in their
enough?
very.
Nope, I didn't
all
go far
players
enough.
have the chance to.
Why does
succeed.
she have 3 bars of
Automated
health?
turrets where all players have the chance.
Which one?
This chick. So she's got what I'm assuming this is her armor bar, right? The white one. And
The
then this
hyena
should be
one
her
right there.
health. What's the green bar? I've never noticed this
I
before.
never noticed that either. Maybe a status effect? Maybe like the charge of, because that's like an electric baton, I think. Is maybe that's the electric status or something?
Well, I'm assuming that that's what this is telling you that you know she is, you know, electrifying, and you know
Okay.
that's what this is telling you. What is this green bar? Is she sick?
That's what Imp is saying. She's sick. What do you guys in chat think? We get some opinions?
I'm really curious. And it just popped in my head. I haven't seen anybody, and I've never seen this on a player, you know, so, and I know in the DC you have to wear, like, your mask or whatever, so, yeah, I mean, are these people just going to die overall, or is that some kind of gameplay, there's a faction that's trying to spread disease? I get that, but why do we need to see that she's half sick, right? Obviously, we know that she's one of the hyenas, or whatever the name of that group is. Like, we can tell that visually
It's an
because of what they
interesting
look
name,
like.
By the way.
What's
The
that?
The hyenas? I would have called them the cagoots.
The cagootses. But yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I'm just really curious. It just hit me, and I don't know if, yeah,
That's a
I'm
good
really
catch.
curious what that is.
I don't know. If you look, this is actually a really good screenshot that you just did there, because you guys can now see there's the 1, 2, 3, the 4 and like a quarter of armor bars. So I'm wondering if that means this particular character is a little bit more tanky, or if that's just how armor normally goes. But that's going to be your armor, and then the yellow is your health.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that because I've seen it with less and more, and I know like Marco has talked about it and stuff. Like as your level goes up, you get more armor bars. She's wearing Nomad. Well, I'm really curious if that's like her skill down, like her skill cooldown, you know, where, you know, if she swings, you know, the cattle prod again or whatever it is, like she can't get her status effect active until that's all the way up. I'm just really super curious what that is. I haven't played, so I can't say yet. A Division tweeter.
I've played, but I still can't tell you.
There's a tweet saying there's going to be one this Tuesday. Yeah, there's going to be another State of the Game type thing on Tuesday.
Yeah.
To succeed.
Okay, we'll continue.
Automated turrets guard the entry points and protect newcomers from predatory rogue agents and
I think those are ridiculous, but it is what it is.
This gives players the freedom to engage in their very own play style without being
ridiculous.
overpowered by veteran agents. While Dark Zones remain an accessible challenge, Occupied Dark Zones, our most brutal version of the Dark Zone, will also be available at launch. With no rules to keep anyone safe and high rewards, this will be a true contest for survival of the fittest.
Yeah, no, it really does. I mean, it looks good. It looks crispy.
It looks good, yeah.
Conflict, our organized PvP experience for the Division 2, will also be available at launch. Conflict modes pitch a team of 4 SHD agents against a team of 4 rogue agents across domination and skirmish game modes in 3 new maps located outside of the main story. These modes feature their own progression system, granting rewards that players can bring back in the main open world of the Division 2. In Domination, teams battle for control of 3 capture zones. Stay in the zone with your team, or perform special actions to keep scoring and deny the zone to the opposing team, using your skills and agent toolbox wisely. In Skirmish, each team aims at reducing the opposing team reinforcement to 0. This mode supports intense and highly tactical engagements.
Crumbs, we'll definitely talk about that
when aiming for the top of the leaderboard.
Because I want to talk about skills in general.
The Division 2's Conflict and Dark Zones experience will continue to evolve as part of our commitment to post-launch, and players can look forward to new areas and new modes in the coming months.
I'm on PS4.
You will decide how you will want to achieve your mission.
Johnny's going to be primarily PC, but also
alone.
PS4.
Agents, welcome to the Division 2.
Super nice.
I gotta tell you, that's a cool trailer. I'll give them credit. Again, credit where credit's due. That's cool. I want to play the game right now.
Yeah, no, I do too. I wish it was out. It's actually why I've been having these weird things. Oh, goddamn, excuse me. Why I've been having these weird things this week with stream, because between Anthem being fun as hell and all of my hype for Division 2, like, I log into the Division and it's just like, oh, it just doesn't, it's not what I want. And I had this problem. There's only 2 times I quit playing the Division 1 for extended periods of time, and one was late August of 2006, because I knew that 1.4 was coming. They announced what changes we were getting, but we were still a month from release of it, and like Division 1 1.3 really started bothering me then, and then again 1.6 for other reasons. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm so damn hyped, but So there's been a lot of talk about the drones again. I haven't played it yet. What I have seen from some of the videos that have come out from alpha that some of the content creators could share, or from the different play events, the drones do look OP. I'm hoping that there's been some balancing to not only just the drone, but all of the other skills, because really right now I'm afraid that, like, especially the Dark Zone is just going to be a drone festival. What do you feel about that?
I think like anything in this game, it's gonna be a skill. It's gonna be an electronic talent. Like if you go back to Seeker Mines, if you go back to Sticky Bomb, like any type of extra combat talent. They've again, to be truthfully, I think they've always had a hard time balancing that. It's I'm curious to see if it's going to be really overpowered or not. I know they become really, really viable in the division. Sometimes and very often, like it was frustrating to me. Like I like a lot of just traditional gunplay. I felt like a lot of times in the division it was too toy happy. Like again, you saw that in Last Stand, you saw it in Skirmish. It'd be Seeker Mine meta, sticker, Seeker Mine meta, sticky bomb meta, flame turrets everywhere, and that is part of the game. It's futuristic, it's a division, but sometimes it was just like nauseating how it overrode the natural, gunplay. I can see people using them for sure. I think it's something to keep an eye on. I don't think we're gonna really know until we really get our hands on it. Again, that's why I try the beta. Really use it. Don't just be like use it as an experience to play the game early. Like really, really truthfully test it. And again, use the forums. They really do read that stuff. I could contest to that from the alpha. The alpha had its own forum, which they announced, so I'm not breaking NDA, but they literally had their own private forum, and they encouraged us to go on there every day and type the smallest to the biggest detail. They really do read that stuff. I hope it's not, because I don't like gimmicky things being overpowered. I want the gunplay to speak for itself. Personally.
Yeah, I was just looking for it while you were talking. There was a screenshot. It was a video I'd seen someplace, and getting in with the skills, and this is what I'm curious about with the drone in particular, and some rumors that I think Marco had said were like your skill power does not affect the effectiveness of your skills, right? It doesn't make them hit harder, shoot longer, stay out, whatever. But there was a video that I think Shadow had shared with me, and I can't get it now because it's in my Discord, but the way that the setup is, I can't access my Discord. That shows that like the individual skill, like say the drone, has individual mods that you can add to it to do different things. And I'm curious then if those mods would then be affected by your skill power. Because like they're not going to eliminate skill power completely from the equation of the RPG side. They've been actually saying the complete opposite, that they're trying to embrace the RPG more. So I'm curious if that's one way that they're going to do that. But then also, there was another video I was watching where some of the things that have been looted were like, there was a screenshot of gaffer tape, and it said drone gaffer tape. And it was like, but it said skill unlocked gaffer tape, and then it showed the picture of the drone. So like, is that a mod for that? Or do you actually have to loot individual things to be able to then put together to build your skills instead of getting them the way that you did in the Division 1? And like, I don't know how that works or not. Like, I'm super, super curious about it.
Yeah, I think whether it's drones or it's guns or it's pulses or it's just gaming. It's just the combat, and whether it's surveillance. I've seen some comments people want just it to be only surveillance. I kind of like Dork's take on it. Let me read his comment out to the channel here. Drones should be surveillance, and as far as damage in PvP, nothing but a pest. In PvE, maybe a bit more. I happen to agree with what he's saying. I don't think you should have a drone be where you have to like run from the area because somebody has a drone, because then all it's going to be is a bunch of guys flying, and ladies, of course, players I should say, just popping drones, just flying all around. And then you're going to run into the same thing with Seeker Mines. Like, I literally would leave servers or leave instances when I got into a Last Stand match, and it was just people hitting square or hitting, left bumper, and then the Seeker Mines chasing you all around the map, and it's doing stupid damage. Because to me, that's just not fun. I want to line up an ADS and have the other person ADS back, and I want to, volley shots back and forth. I think that's the one thing we got, and I agree with you and chat. I think we got to be real careful about making drones overpowered. Let them be there. It's futuristic. Yeah. They should be there. And if you look at today's military, and you can't compare real life too much, but in real life, I mean, these guys and these women, they're using drones on the regular.
Yeah.
This size too. So
I know that there's been a lot of talk, negative and mostly negative, about the way that the Division 2 feels like Wildlands, like it feels like a Wildlands clone. But one thing that I wish that would be pretty cool, especially with the drone, is if they actually had one of the subsets of the drone as like what you guys are talking about with like a surveillance drone, that you send it up and it literally changes your point of view to that drone, and then you can fly it around to try to find people or figure out where they are to mark them, just like somebody, I think it was Jack, said that in chat, you know, because it would be totally balanced. I don't know if that could work with the game architecture the way the Division 2 is or anything else, but I mean, I guess we'll see. My biggest fear about the drone is I wish it had a set range that it could go.
I hope it does.
From you, the player using it, away from you. Like, it should, because I've seen some footage from some of these events where somebody like runs away and gets behind cover, and that drone just to heal, and then that drone just chases them down, starts whittling away. They're still able to heal because the heal bar doesn't get staggered, but then they're still able to heal, but then that drone is still shooting them, and then by the time they finish, they've started taking damage again, and then the player catches up and you don't get a way to check your breath or to catch your breath. And so yeah, we'll see.
I was actually watching someone stream the other day, and I'm kind of brain farting here. I apologize. I think it's almost time for round 2 of the coffee. We might do a coffee break here.
Fair enough.
But I was watching someone, and they were talking about the movement. And people are like, well, they're being how should we say it? Grumpy about how the movement was in Wildlands and how it's way too similar to the Division. I don't necessarily see that right away. I didn't play a lot of Wildlands. I do see it, but my thing is, and I gotta give credit to Vandal X Gaming and his channel and his community. I was hanging there the other day. He made a great point. I didn't really think of this. We all wanted to get rid of chicken dancing, and supposedly this is the way. And if it is the way, does it really matter if it runs like Wildlands? I mean, we don't want it to be a carbon copy of Division 1, and I've talked to Kirky a lot about that, and yourself, Janko.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that's important is it's got to be the same idea, aka the Division, but it should not be a continuation of Division 1. It's got to be different in certain ways so that it feels unique and special. And I think if they run more like Wildlands, but somebody can't chicken dance, which 90% of the community hated, it's not a bad thing if it looks similar to another game in that regard. If that fixes the problem, I'm all for it. When I watched that footage, the characters look like they run fine to me. They just don't look like they run in Division 1.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys in chat think, and Janko, if you want to follow up on that, I'd love to hear what you think. Man.
Yeah, I'm curious, because I remember I loved Wildlands. I was one of the few people, I think, that really had a ton of fun, especially with friends in Wildlands. And I really, really I really enjoyed the game. But the one thing, and I don't know if Foxhound is still here, he could totally attest this, I used to bitch and moan constantly about the way that the character models, when they ran, seemed to pivot at the waist, but not in the shoulders. Whereas, like, the Division models always look like there was more points of articulation, if that makes sense.
Yes,
like, they just didn't look as stiff. And when a lot of
they look a little too stiff right now?
I did, but there was a video from when they had that capture event that people went out to, and then they had the embargo, and then all of a sudden we got blitzkrieged with all the stuff. Marco had said that something about the movement felt too stiff, too weird, and like I was watching these videos, and that's what I felt like. I felt like it looked like Wildlands, but what I will say is in Wildlands I got used to it eventually, and there was another thing that somebody had posted where, like, the character would start moving and, like, the whole upper body would start going before the legs kind of followed them. And somebody made the reference point that it looked like they were riding a bike, right? And so that's how it felt. But then the developers actually commented on that and said that has been fixed. Like, that aspect has been balanced and tweaked. So until I get in and give it a chance and, like, actually play with it, I can't talk too much about it, but one of my biggest things, man, when Wildlands launched was I hope Division 2 is exactly like this, just set in the Division world. Like, I loved it.
Yeah. I think it's, again, for me, it's frustrating. I can't talk about how my experience was with movement from the alpha. I'm basing it more on just these videos, and I'm more of the type of player where, again, I'm with you. Simply put, long story short, I want to just move my character my way and see how it truly feels. You could look at things all day long in video. You can make comparisons left and right, but I may get in there and be like, well, yeah, it doesn't feel all that great, but I'm gonna go with it. Or I may be like, no, it feels great, or I may hate it. I think it's there's no short answer. Again, that's the thing that's really cool, and I think that's why I'm really happy to be doing this show, especially now, because so much is what if, so much is remains to be seen, and I still think we're gonna get some answers come beta, but then they're gonna clean it up and they're gonna give us a finished product. And I think between now and then the March 12th. Well, that's the early release. Again, I'll just throw some little dates out there. Obviously, everybody kind of knows, but March 12th, early access, and then March 15th, the game drops. I think between then, the beta, and then, they're going to clean up and adjust and make their vision what it is. So let's give it time. Let's see how it plays out. Don't just, I'm with you. I think if they move better I really like the movement in Wildlands. I kind of thought it was very tactical, very, it's funny, like, I don't want to get too far off subject, but the other day, recently I was playing paintball. It was actually about a month or two ago, and I was running around, and you don't realize, like, if you were just to run and you had a camera behind you, you would see how, like, you're kind of like, you're not really necessarily running as smooth as maybe like a sprinter or an athlete. When you have gear on, and any combat person or soldier could tell you this probably better than me. Yeah, it just feels like maybe they're trying to replicate you're running around with weight and you're running around, from cover to cover. And it's not always going to be like Grace Kelly smooth. It's going to be clunky soldier combat running around. And maybe that's what they're trying to kind of get out there too.
Yeah, I totally agree.
To put a different spin on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And I want to hit 1X real quick because he had asked what we thought about the Dark Zone player size being reduced to 12. And from my point of view, I really kind of like it because I was going to say this earlier and I totally forgot. One of my favorite things, I kind of got into it. One of my favorite things about the Division 1 Dark Zone was going in solo, farming PvE, getting away, playing that cat and mouse with rogues and manhunts that are going to try to come and get my stuff, and then trying to get it extracted. Like, that was part of the fun for me. And in Division 2, I fully plan on doing a ton of solo Dark Zone. I fully plan on, being a gray rogue. Like, that's the kind of shit I want to do, is go in, pick lock the boxes, get whatever's out of there, try to extract it, go around, get the little terminals, get into the Thieves' Den, see what that is, especially if there's unique rewards in there. Oh, God, that would be so cool. But then try to get out. And so with a Dark Zone a third of the size of the other, but only half the players, that seems like it's going to give a player like me more room to kind of play in that zone, right? Especially people are going rogue, and I can see where they're at, whatever. I'm nervous about it only being essentially 3-4-man teams, right? Because now it's just going to be like, if you go in with a 4-stack and there's 2 other groups of 4-stacks, it's just three teams essentially constantly just fighting each other. And I think that might get boring and take out some of the randomness for some people. But I don't know how that's going to work. I never played too much organized 4-stack PvP, so I don't know if you have, Johnny. So how do you think that's going to affect from that standpoint, or chat? I know people like Snake and stuff like that have definitely done a lot of 4-man stack PvP. How do you think that's going to affect your mindset as opposed to a way larger DZ, but with twice the people? Because essentially 24 is only 6 groups, but then you've got, 2/3 more space for those 6 groups to be spread out over.
Yeah, it's for somebody who was mildly interested in PvP, and then I grew to really not like it, but try to give myself a better chance to jump into it, because I found I was just doing way too much PvE, and I just wanted to mix it up. Again, I started getting to Last Stand and Skirmish. So bad examples there, because obviously more controlled, lobbies and everything. From a DZ standpoint, when I did want to go in the DZ and PvP, the one thing that drove me nuts was when we engaged and whether we were beating them or not, they would just run. Like, running was always a problem to me, and I get it. I don't mean as far as like running to a different point of the building and being tactical. I mean as far as like just taking off and just all of a sudden like they're gone, and you're chasing people around to try to get into PvP. That wasn't fun to me. I think with a smaller area and with more, with smaller lobbies, I think you have a higher chance to get into more combat if that's what you're looking for. And I think that can only help.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it gives, if you, let's say you go in as a 4-stack and you're looking for PvP, and you go into like Dark Zone East, and you run across a couple groups that do that run, and that's why I was saying that's me, because that's exactly what I would do when I was solo in there, is I would just run away and try to survive. But like, let's say you're in there, there's only 3 teams, or there's only 2 other teams at that point. You find another team, you start engaging, and that they just want to run, then maybe hopefully you can then change your server, and maybe try to find it. Would be easier to find it that way, right? Because if you know that 1/3 of the Dark Zone is just trying to farm PvE, then either you have a choice to make. You can either just try to fuck up their day and screw with them, or you can then maybe jump to another server to try to get some extra
those Lamborghinis.
Yeah, exactly. I want to transition super quick, just because this is what I was talking about earlier, and I'm staring at this. Jack sent me a link for the video I was talking about, and this is from Epic Slayers on YouTube. So, like, I don't know if you guys follow them. You guys can. I think they spell it weird, but so this is like the new Bulwark Shield, which, by the way, can't wait. This is going to be the first fucking skill I try out.
Badass.
But this is the Bulwark Shield, which looks just like the shield, the D3 shield that we have now. It's like the full body shield. But there's like a circuit board slot, a hard coding slot, a gyro slot, FX slot, and controls. So like I had made mention of the drone one that was called gaffer tape. So that one probably has a gaffer tape slot. And I'm really curious, because the screenshot I had seen only shows the drop itself. It doesn't show like that actual item and what bonuses it provides. So I wonder if those are re-rollable bonuses, or if they act like mods do for weapons, that like, this scope is always going to give like a +10 to accuracy but a -10 to like crit chance or something like that, where they're set rolls. So I'm wondering if these are random rolls or if they're set rolls, and it would be super cool if they were random rolls, man, and then you could like optimize them if they still have the optimization station or whatever, and where it gives another level of gear to grind for. But at the same time, they said that that's why they wanted weapon mods to be unlockable as opposed to looting, so that your cash isn't completely held up. So I'm assuming these are going to be hard rolled, fast talents or skills, or maybe there's a set version of them. Like maybe the circuit board can have 5 different versions, right? One with longer duration or something like that. What do you think? I mean, I'm guessing you can't talk too much about this, but I don't even know if you can or not.
That's what's frustrating. Yeah, and man, I wish I could. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I just can't. It sucks.
Yeah.
I will say this real quick. I want to say thank you to everybody for the comments and everybody being just very chill and very kosher amongst one another. That's definitely what we're looking for. We could definitely agree. We're going to have plenty of times where we disagree. I could totally see myself totally disagreeing at points with Janko and vice versa. Maybe I love something in chat and he does it. That's what we're here for. So please, guys, thank you for that. I saw some cool comments in there. I just want to kind of chime in those, because sadly I can't talk about anything that I saw.
Yeah,
which is a bummer. I would love to. I think Wolf made a really nice comment and I like it, and I want to kind of pony back that. And even B Crumbs was talking about VoIP, something we can get into because I think that's really important. But Wolf's comment basically was, I think different specializations should have different movement speeds and run speeds. That would fix the running away. That's really interesting, because right now, at least from what they told us, if your character is more tanky, your movement speed is going to be a little bit slower.
Oh, really?
So, right. That's what I thought. That's what I heard. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought I heard that along the way. If I misheard that, then I apologize. But I thought I heard more tanky, a little bit slower, more mobile, a little bit less armor. So you're going to have to really choose. I thought I heard that early on. Chat, maybe you guys could correct me. Didn't I hear that? If I'm wrong, please let me know. But I think that'd be really cool. And that would certainly help a little bit. I was always, it's a bummer when you're engaging in combat and then the team is just taking all off. I think there's a huge difference between turning a corner and trying to funnel somebody, and then somebody's like, they pop a few shots and then they just take off and you're chasing them. And personally, as a streamer and as a player, when that happens, the first thing I do is like, I'll give it 15, 20 seconds. And I'm like, I'm not chasing these guys.
Yeah.
Like if they want to come back, I'll fight them. Or if we run into them again, I'll fight them, or a new server.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about a weight system. I think it would be fucking fantastic. I'm an old school MMO role-playing game player at heart, so like any kind of encumbrance system,
it could have been speculation.
I would love. I would absolutely love it. But Jack, the thing is like the footage that I have seen about the new shield, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the first one to go down, because it's Shade Tech, so who knows how much it weighs. But from what I've seen, you can move at full speed now with the shield out.
That's pretty cool.
At least that's what I've seen.
And I hated, you and I have talked about this, man. I hated D3. I called it the car door build, the coward build. I mean, like I've nicknamed it everything. And then I gotta tell you, man, you make a fully optimized D3, there's almost zero content you can't do in Division 1 classified. Like literally, you probably, if you were good enough, and I know for a fact that I actually two-manned Stolen Signal with a friend doing D3 on challenging, not heroic, still pretty impressive if you think about it, in my opinion at least. I mean, those things, they're beefy, man. It's a fun gear set to use once you give it a chance. I'm really with you on that. I can't wait to see how the D3 plays out.
It is a fun set. My only problem with the set has always been the way it deploys when you transition from running, and then all of a sudden, like, you have that half a second where you're running full speed and then it deploys and then you're moving at a snail's pace and then you try to run. It just, because of the way that the movement in the Division started feeling, it just feels like when you get Striker and you're just running and you're just moving so fast. Like, I like it because it should be slower because of the ability and versatility. But I've said it since day one, man. D3 is the most versatile gear set in the game. You can build it for PvP. You can make a healthy
argument for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can build it for PvP, you can build it for PvE, you can literally build it for crit chance if you want, you can build it for survival and tanking. Like, there's so many different ways that you can build that set, and that's why I'm so curious to see the shield. But here, by the way, you had mentioned earlier something about die slots, and it looks like each object, each item will actually have its own die slot.
Pretty cool, man.
I think it's super cool. I'm hoping that they're like individual colors instead of just ridiculous patterns that they've got now. Because, like, I mean, that's cool. Some of the patterns that are in the Division 1 are kind of fucking ridiculous and stupid. But I hope that they have straight up colors. But I think it'll work more like the Division 1 stuff.
I really like the way the screen is laid out like there. And I know that sounds weird. I'm a big fan of like organization and layout. One of the things I noticed on a totally different note is, like, I watch a lot of people play Escape to Tarkov, and I literally cringe at the way that game is laid out. I think it's like, oh God, I think it's just awful. Now, for what they're doing, it probably works great. These menus look crisp, they look vibrant, they look really laid out, they look new. It doesn't feel like it's the same menu. I mean, look at that, like with the pulse, the turret. Again, a lot to like. So I'm really curious. I like the way, what does that say? They're high platform. So it says buff amount, buff duration, change. That's cool. Like, it feels to me like there's new statistics that maybe were there behind the scenes, and now they're kind of more bringing them out to the forefront.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it definitely does look cool. I think there was another video that I saw that shows the new stash, and I can't remember if it's in this one or not. That's how I was trying to scroll along. But it shows, like, here it is. It is in this video. Yeah, this is our new stash.
Someone commented before that I sound real quiet. If that's better, can you, or worse, can you let us know, please?
Yeah.
Sorry, Janko.
Well, that was what I tried to ask Glow earlier, was how your volume was. If he is too low, guys, let me know. I can turn him up. I didn't know. Sounds good to you?
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Thank
Okay,
you
I
guys
also
so
did
much.
move my mic again. A little growing pains too, and we'll get there. So thank you guys. We're just trying to give everyone the best experience possible. Thank you.
Yeah. So evidently this is the inventory and stash
Okay.
screen where, way better layout. And it's just
Yes.
little things like that to me can make all the difference in the world. And I know in this video they were speculating about what this little icon was. They thought it was like a guild or a clan symbol, and if you can make up your own or whatever. I have no idea. But to me, I thought that was just the survivalist icon, but I could be wrong with that.
I'm really curious, and this is just me because I kind of dig this. Are they going to be doing like they did in Division 1, like the badges like on your arm sleeve that you could change?
Yes.
And if so, can we make a strong push to them to let us carry over some of them from Division 1? Because I think that would be cool. I don't think literally because of the coding and the maybe the information, that would be a lot to take over all of them. I actually tweeted about this. I think it would be cool if actually okay. So my tweet question was if you could carry over one feature or one particular maybe item, like a particular gun, or in this case, I wanted the badges. What would it be and why? And a few people chimed in, which was great. I would love to bring over some of the badges, especially like the Agent Elite one. I know Dork Overlords in chat, he earned it too. A very grindy badge, which I don't want to get too far off topic, but Agent Elite was every faction 10,000 kills and then Reaper. So you need to 100,000 kills, 10,000 cleaner, 10,000 rioters, 10,000 LMB. Am I forgetting one? Cleaners, rioters, Rikers,
LMB. That's it.
LMB. Yeah, and so you had to do all those, and it was pretty grindy, and to me, it's a pretty special thing. Even if you kind of knock the PvE thing, I think it's a hell of a grind. I would like to see something like that carried over. I know that'd be a total long shot. I don't know what you guys in chat think, but to me, that'd be a cool little way to bring something over, and they're already bringing certain things over too. So credit there also.
Yeah.
But
you bring the masks. See, my thing with the masks, I have never been a big fan of D1's masks. And my problem with it was during 1.5, or maybe it was 1.4, and then they announced that they were going to bring them in 1.5, or they were talking about in 1.5, and then they got implemented in 1.6. And I think that's when it was, because 1.6 was when I quit the Division. And I swore it off, and I didn't play again until 1.7 because they had announced these masks, and I remember the first screenshot that they shared was somebody wearing a bandana, right, up over their face. And then these masks turned into being these hard, combat, which is cool, but it wasn't what I wanted for my character. I didn't want a full face mask. I wanted the half mask. And so I know the Division 2 definitely has a half mask. I do hope that there's full masks for the people that have them. And originally on your tweet, I had responded that I want my blind set, and I want it to be called the blind set because it's my favorite clothing item set in the game. And I think it was one of the hardest to get, especially when they first brought it out, because Underground was such a ridiculous grind when it first launched. But in thinking about it, the one thing I really, really want coming over at launch is the commendation system in general. I know that's not one thing, it's actually a big combination, but as far as a theory, I want that from the beginning because it's frustrating for me as a day one player to not have some of these things, even though I know I've killed 10,000 rioters, or I've killed, 50 bazillion fucking whatever. I've closed 3,000 car doors. I know I've done this already, but now I have to go back and do it. So I want a commendation system. Yeah, survival would be awesome.
I kind of like the way, again, I hate to always do this, but I mean, again, I got to give it credit. I really dig this. I love how in Destiny, you can track 3 quests. For example, I started Last Word last night, and I need to get 100% of Guardians, opposing Guardians in PvP killed. I love how I could literally hit a quick button in map or in game, and it pops up and it goes, you're at 50%, you're at 5%. I would love the Division to do something like that in regard. I know they have certain quests in common, and I'm with you. I hope accommodations are there. That would be a nice feature, and I don't know if it's there or if it's not, but that'd be cool. If you were trying to grind for, again, assault rifle kills, and you could just hit that button instead of going menu, this, and maybe sometimes it was only 1 or 2 clicks, I'm just like one of those people who likes things at the forefront of information quickly and efficiently, and you could choose.
Okay.
So I think that'd be a cool feature to do, like a tracking system, like a little bit, more available up in the forefront.
It's funny, I never realized how much I appreciate that and miss it until it's gone. Like, it wasn't in D2 at launch because there was a lot of shit from D1 that wasn't in Destiny 2, but even in Anthem right now, in that demo, there's nothing like that, and there's no custom waypoint system. So, like, you're constantly, if you're trying to figure out, and that map is ginormous. So, like, if you're trying in Anthem...
Anthem, okay.
When you first log in, if you're trying to find your way to this cave to go do this thing or this thing, like, you have no idea where you are. There's no way. I got separated yesterday. Galen, Imp, and I were in, and I got separated from them. I couldn't even find what fucking direction they were in without opening the map, looking, okay, they're northwest of me, then going back in, having to turn so that my little compass on the top points me north, and then be like, okay, that's the direction. And so, like, little things like that, I think they'll be in because, it's not a first time game for them or anything like that.
Let's just hope they don't put the Diamond of Lies from the underground in.
The cat, the laser cat pointer.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was just frustrating.
That thing's atrocious. Foxhound in chat actually brought up a stash space because we were talking about the stash space. Where was it again? Here it was. When we were talking about this screenshot, and now I know that they always warn, don't pay attention to values because these are just placeholders and they can change. According to this, stash space is going to be 150. According to one of the pre-orders, I can't remember which one it is, like at a certain level above that, you get stash space, right? You get extra stash space. So Foxhound had asked if they're going to be selling stash space. They have come out and said that post-launch, they're not selling stash space. Like, you can't buy more. It's not going to be something that you could buy with real money because they don't want to give that advantage to people. What I have a feeling they're going to end up doing, and I've got no inside information about this, I don't know how it's going to work. I have a feeling that it's going to be something at launch. You get an extra 20 spaces, right? So, like, if your backpack, if you remember in the Division 1, when you first go in, your backpack has, 10 spaces or whatever. Your stash, I think, was limited at, like, 80 or whatever. And then as you unlock different parts of the base of operations, your stash size increased. I think instead of starting stash space at, like, 20 or 30, you'll get, like, 30 or 40. And essentially, it's still capped at 150. You just get an extra bump at the beginning, which kind of doesn't matter. It feels good at the beginning because you can keep everything, but really where stash space matters, stash space matters.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, dude, I can't say it fucking once clearly.
I know.
Where that matters is at endgame, right? When you're trying to build sets and you're trying to do all that. So I hope it's not a situation where me, because I got the Dark Zone version, I get 200 spaces, whereas, somebody that doesn't have, $190 to drop on a game, they buy the $60 version and they only get 100 spaces, right? Because that's really going to F with them at endgame. So I hope it's not like that. We'll see what happens. I don't know if you know or have heard anything different than that.
No, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I pretty much heard what you did. And for somebody like me, who struggles... See, here we go. I struggle with stash space.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you snuggle with what?
I snuggle with stash space with my soda while eating potatoes. No, I don't know. For somebody who has a major hoarding problem in video games, but sometimes it actually in Destiny it's paid dividends for me. I'm really curious to see how that plays out. Again, I hate to keep going to that well, I'm sorry, but it really is true. Like, I really am excited to see, like, and interested how that's going to affect. Because not everybody has the funds. I mean, everyone's got different financials. Everyone's got different means and different responsibilities. You may have a ton of money this week and not the next month. You can't take it for granted. I was in stream the other day, and I was like, I asked someone if they're getting the Division 2, and they're like, oh, yeah, man, I love that. I don't have the money for it. I mean, even $60 sometimes is a lot to people, and it still is. You never know what people are going through, so I hope that doesn't cause, like, an imbalance. I mean, because, like anything, whether it's, stash space, I said it right. Or, armor mitigation, like anything amongst video gaming, like generally, like I feel like we want to be as balanced as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, I think and we've gotten into this in my chat constantly about pre-orders and pre-order incentives and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people are just completely against pre-orders in general, and then against you getting incentives for pre-ordering. I'm in the opposite camp. But whatever, that's a completely different discussion that we can have at another time.
Yeah, and I'm actually with you for the record.
but like for me, something like that, it's a cool option. You know, you've got like the clothing items and stuff like that you can get. And because exotics are just skins now, right?
Yes.
You know, that's not even giving you like an exotic weapon. It's just a skin. So it's a cooler looking weapon than maybe like a regular AK-47 or whatever. But it's not going to change the way. It's not going to give me an advantage because I spent, you know, $180 and you spent 60 or whatever. The stash space could be an issue if that's the case, especially at endgame, which is why I'm hoping that it's you just get a boost at the beginning and that's it, right? Because then, oh yay, I just started off this game, I can put 40 pieces in my stash as opposed to, you know, 30.
Well, because early game, you're not going to really truly know what's really good or really bad. Like, you're going to want, at least in my opinion, this is how I think, like, you're going to kind of want to get a little, you know, cornucopia, if you will, of everything, because as people come out with videos and talking to friends or through your own experiences, you're gonna be like, oh man, like I'm looking at your stream now, like, oh, maybe this black market's really good, and then all of a sudden someone's like, no, that thing sucks, dude, you need to get the RPK, and it's like, oh, okay, well, what do I put in stash and what do I don't? Like, I personally I know Kirky is like half joking but serious, like 500 or you need help. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have to worry about it early on. I really don't. I want to be a hoarder and then do a clean out and make decisions appropriately, like for the good of the build or my game experience. Personally, that's how I feel. All about that AK-47. Black Hawk Tom has been rocking the AK-47 since Division 1 construction building.
Oh, really?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
The AK is what I sometimes build. I'll build the purple one in survival because I really like it. Yeah, it's my favorite gun in survival. But, oh shit! What was I had that up for so long. I totally brain boop. There was another thing. So we talked about the stash space, the pre-orders.
Ooh, good question there.
What's
like
that?
it, Kirky. And I'm curious your thoughts, Janko. Will they allow API access to the system so we can have an inventory swap app? God, I hope so. Again, not keep going to the Destiny well, but man alive, man, you know, that would help alleviate stash space, because if you think about it, you know, again, and let me just set the tone, not that everybody doesn't know this, most probably do. So in theory, what you have in Destiny, right, is you have a vault, and you throw all your belongings in the vault, and you have X amount of room on your character. So a lot of times you may want certain guns for certain activities. Well, you just go to your computer, you drag it over, and then you're good. So in essence, you basically have multiple characters and or multiple space, depending on how you want to look at it. And it really causes you to do a on-the-fly switch, so you don't have, hold on, let me fast travel. Hold on, let me go back here. Hold on, let me put this back on my build. Hold on, let me change this. Because we all get in that habit, especially as a streamer. You know, and Janko obviously could probably tell you this, like, you're getting ready to do Falcon's Lost, and someone's like, who wants to run Reclaimer? And someone's like, I will, but I got to go back to the base and pull out all my pieces and then put it on and then remod everything. Wouldn't it be nice to just, if you had a second monitor or you just had a phone on your app and you can go click, 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 and then it's all there and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go in 10 seconds. I would absolutely love it and be 100% in favor. I don't know if you guys in chat would. Janko?
Yeah, no, I think it would be a phenomenal thing. I mean, obviously, you know, things like that to me are amazing. They're extra. And ultimately, I want the game to be good first instead of, you know, on top of, but I've used it so much. I mean, I've actually on my stream deck, I have a button specifically for Destiny Item Manager because I always forget, you know, when I'm in the middle of a thing, I never have it up. And then, you know, I just hit it so that it can launch it immediately. Boom, launch app. And then I'm in and I can swap shit immediately. It's invaluable to me.
Dork said, so reportedly they said no, and I'm curious. I think I might have heard that too. I don't quite understand that, and maybe that's a discussion for a whole nother day. But I wish if that's true, they'd let their guard down in that regard. I think a lot of people would dig it, especially any content creator would love it because they could literally be so versatile. Um, I wanted to touch on B Crumb's comment too because that's really funny. Remember when we all had to change all our gear to get ammo and medkits? Yeah.
Yep.
That was like you get the 9 medkits, which is ridiculous. You get the ammo bump. Yeah, that was crazy. I know. I remember that.
Yeah,
and that was annoying too. That's basically what you're looking at. Like you're putting on all the stuff to get buffs, and then you're putting on all your stuff again to go in and do the combat. That's just a headache, man. Let's just, like they say in the army, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Like, I honestly believe that'd be great.
Yeah, that was the first day of the Marshall Shield. I remember logging in and being like, wait, why don't I have this shield done? And then I had to log out and then log back into my other characters who are essentially just mules at this point, to carry gear, and because I don't get that much stash space. And then I had to pull that off of their inventory to put it in the stash space, and then log into the next one to do that, to then log into the next one and be like, oh, fuck, now I don't have enough space in my stash, then log back into another one to like pick up stuff that's not exotics on that one, to log back out, to go back into the 4th character, to dump stuff in, to go back to the original character. And like, come on, man, if I had one app, I could just swap immediately straight to it without all of that loading screen. I don't know
what we could do. We'll write that down, guys. Maybe we'll get into a who, what, where, when, and why. Maybe if the channel even gets, big enough, we can get lucky and maybe get somebody on from either Redstorm or Massive to be like, hey, like, why? Maybe they won't come on to talk about it. Maybe they can't, etc. And that's part of it. But I would love to do that, at the very least, get a discussion amongst ourselves, because I truly don't know the answers. I wish that they would let that happen personally. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a server space issue, if it's a money issue, if it's on Ubisoft's side where they don't want to do it, because I may be wrong on this, but I thought that the original Vault app that is used right now for Destiny, I don't think that was developed by Bungie. I seem to remember that being a separate app that Bungie gave permission to them to be able to develop it, but I don't think it was by Bungie. So if that's the case,
app was developed by someone separately, but the Vault was very much Bungie's, but they let that app have access to it. Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, Bungie, I remember in Destiny 1, if you went to like the Bungie app or like the Destiny app, you could log in, you could see your character. It would actually, on your phone, you could pull up a 3D version of your character that you could rotate, and you could see your armor and stuff, and like that was super cool. You could see what was equipped, but you couldn't make changes. Then there was a separate app called the Vault that you then could make all of those changes, but I think that was developed separately. I don't think originally that was developed by Bungie. I think that was developed by somebody else who then contacted Bungie and they said, hey, we made this app, can to be able to do this, and then they worked with Bungie to make it work. And I just don't think Ubisoft or Massive either doesn't have the manpower, doesn't want to pay for it, or whatever. And that was the other thought Blackhawk Tom just mentioned, that like I would be afraid when it first came up, I was like, dude, I bet you anything with the amount of cheaters that they have, they're worried about either item duplication or some kind of manipulating for it, because it would be on servers outside of theirs. But then it was like, well, Destiny does it and it works just fine. Like nobody can manipulate that stuff. So I don't, that might be why they
and that's fair, because they're picking their poison, and if that's the case, then okay, it makes sense. I wish this company would reach out, and maybe they have. You don't know. This third party, they could reach out to Division and be like, "Man, we've done wonders. You want to let us in? Your community might dig it." I don't think it's going to happen even this year, if it happens at all. Personally, I think we would have heard something about that by now.
Yeah,
that would have been kind of breaking news, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would really, really, really be sweet, but yeah, same thing. So it was a third party. Sweet. Dork, you're awesome. I appreciate you.
One of the things I want to kind of just draw out there real quick, if it's cool with you, is I'm just looking through. I know a lot of people have been talking about the graphics, not only in the videos, but just maybe more so I should say more so in the videos, because that's all we've really seen, unless you've actually played the alpha, and you can't talk about that anyways. So at least according to the videos and graphics wise, like I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking, like as far as what you've seen so far, or do you have hopes or worries? I know they tweeted out that graphic about the minimum requirements to run the game, and it seems like you don't need a whole lot to run like maybe like a 1080 version in pretty nice settings. I know everyone's got different graphics cards and settings and CPUs and GPUs and MTVs and ESPNs and 123s and so I've talked to people who run 1080 graphics cards and they have like myself, I could run basically off stream. I'm getting like I say on average 130 frames a second, but then you talk to somebody, they're like, oh, that's it, I'm getting 210, but they're running it on low. So I know that's a real fluid discussion, but I'm curious to see what you guys think about the graphics from what you've seen so far, and obviously yourself included, Janko.
Yeah, I'm bringing them up right now. So
the graphics shown this far has been alpha builds.
So far we've got the Division 2 recommended system requirements. Okay. So this is recommended. Wait, was this top one? I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'm trying to make sure. Yeah. So recommended is AMD Ryzen 5 1500X or an Intel Core i7 4790, 8 megabytes of RAM, AMD RX 480 or a GeForce GTX 970. 4 gigs of video RAM with DirectX or 11 or 12. High system requirements would be a Ryzen 7 1700 or an Intel i7 6700, 16 gigs of RAM, and then a Vega 56 or a Vega 56 rather, or a GTX 1070 with 8 gigs of video RAM. And then Elite would be the Ryzen 7 2700X or the i9 fucking 7900X, 16 gigs RAM still, a 2080 Ti or Radeon 7.
Wow.
And then
see, that's where I think
gigs.
the killer is, because I'm pretty sure you could run a mild overclock on the 1700 series chips and probably run 4K. But I think that graphics card is going to really hinder you, obviously, from doing that. I know I can't. I only run a 1080. A 2080 Ti is ridiculous. It's like a $1,500 graphics card to run it on Elite.
Yeah,
I'm sure that would look beautiful. Cheers to everybody who's got that. I mean, that's going to be so awesome for them. I think you're going to see most people probably run it. I think this is cool. I think the recommended 1080 at 60 FPS, which your eye can't tell more than 60 anyways, and I've had that debate with people, and they're wrong because science. I think the fact that if you have a fairly recent CPU, 8 gigs of RAM is absolutely nothing. You want 16 anyways in a decent build. And a 970, that's pretty fair to run a game at 1080 at 60 FPS. So that tells me, and I could be wrong, that it feels like the optimization, they did it pretty well. They're utilizing it, so it's not going to be a hindrance to your system.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the fact that they spelled it out the way they did with minimum system requirements. This is to run 1080 at 30 FPS. And let me tell you right now, this PC is almost exactly what my streaming PC is now. Like, I have an i7 2600K, and then I've got a GTX 760. Like, so, I could play it at minimum system requirements.
There we go.
Yeah. But then, I love how they spelled it out that way. And yeah, this is obviously a ridiculous build, but that's also at 4K. So, yeah, so I don't know. I think that they did a good job. I hope that does. And I tend to believe, what you were just saying. Oh, yeah, it might get cut off. What you were just saying is that hopefully that means that that optimization is dialed in specifically because they're being really, really open about that.
I mean, the nice part is if you already have the PC, right, and you're looking at a 1070 is a damn good card still, and they're really affordable.
Yeah,
there's not an enormous performance difference between the 1070 and say maybe like a 1080. There obviously is one. Maybe like a 1070 Ti would be really, really good. I mean, 1070 Ti, you're talking basically a 1080, give or take a few percentages, one way or the other.
Yeah.
16 gigs of RAM. Again, you're going to want to run 16 in almost any build anyways. I mean, RAM's really cheap. And those 1700 series chips are very, quote unquote affordable. Everyone's got different budgets. But compared to some of the newer, pricier chips, that's a damn good chip still. Even on the Intel side, that's pretty good, man. And
Yeah.
to run that at high, I mean, when I run my stream, I'm lucky enough, and um my off stream, I run everything on high, on ultra, and I tell you, man, you could see the difference. Like when you start seeing stitching marks and just like the overall just crisp clarity of like say like the agent's watch when it glows orange, it just looks so vibrant. You'll really, really appreciate it. In fact, I tweeted out a screenshot of my character with the snow coming down in survival, and it's fucking beautiful. Excuse me,
Yeah.
so I think that's good. Hopefully the optimization is dialed in. I don't know a lot about that, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully that means CPU usage will be lower too. Yeah, and because that's a big thing for all streamers and pretty much most people, because a lot of people have like decent hardware, but then like this game is so taxing on your CPU because of all the equations, all the things it has to load. So it's very taxing on your CPU. Absolutely.
And that's the thing with an older system. I've never been able to play really on PC. There was a weekend that they did a free PC demo essentially, or whatever, where you could play like 10 levels. It was free weekend on PC. And so I downloaded it and I tried it and it looked great. Even at like medium to high graphics, it looked great. It's just my system ran it like shit and there was no way that I could stream it or play it. So, I'd love to get in there. I mean, it's always made me jealous. Like Kirky had said, the way the game plays on PC versus the way it plays on console. I have always been, especially once I started getting into, content creation and things like that, I've always been jealous, flat up, about people that are on PC, that are making videos, and that are doing speed runs and doing whatever. And specifically, I remember watching either Butter or Marco's videos or whatever, and even Breezy Peasy way back in the day. Like, that is not possible on console. The things that you are doing is just, like, you just see them like just laser in with I remember Skillup making videos about the L86 and 1.3, and you just see them like lasering in on headshots with a light machine gun on PC, and I'm like, dude, you can't do that on console. And then that was finally proven, I think in 1.7 or something. I think it wasn't Skillup, it was Upper Echelon, UE Sanctionite, Marco teamed up and literally got them two and then a couple other people moved to Xbox to try to do Stolen Signal in, I think it was the 5 minute or 6 minutes that you could do on PC. And it took them 8 or 12 hours of practice and coordination and just to do everything right to be able to do it once. And then they kind of got it down and they were able to do it. But like on PC, it's so fucking easy.
It's so much easier because the no pun intended, the point and
clear
click
sky. Sorry, Kirky.
Clear sky, yeah. The point and click with the mouse, with the headshots, is so much easier. I think when people really saw that video, like you said, and B started really tinkering and messing with builds and saw that strategy, then they were able to. But it's still not as easy. I mean, like I was running with back then. It was oh man, who did we run it with that one day? I know it was Mia, aka the Godmother. Much love to Mia, and her friend Blue. And I think we had one other person, and I apologize to them if you're in chat and you were with us, then fine. I apologize for forgetting you. But we had one other person, and we were running it in under 6 minutes, which I thought was great for console. And then, of course, I was doing it on stream, and we were running it. I think our best run was like 5:30. And someone come and chat and like, oh, this sucks, man. They're doing it in like 4.5 minutes on PC. I'm like, well, all right, good. This is not PC. And they were also, those are also like elite players, like all respect to them. I'm not an elite player. I'm a good player. It can be done, but yeah, it's a lot harder. It really is.
Yeah, I mean it's just the laser focus and control, the precise, I guess, control of a mouse versus the controller. And I know that we get aim assist on console with controllers and stuff like that, and you don't get that on mouse and keyboard. But I wish there was some way, because that's been my one, like my complaint about console is, we get aim assist, but then our recoil is out of fucking control. And I just wish that they could balance that a little bit so that it was closer to the same experience. PC is easier even with a controller, right? Because you don't have the same recoil.
And the frame rate, I agree, to follow the end of that. The frame rate makes it just so smooth. So you don't. It just doesn't feel as clunky. I mean, 30 to me, there's a huge difference in 30 FPS compared to 60. And once you do the 60, and I hate to compare the two because you can't. It's not fair. You can't compare the hardware in a console to some of the builds that we all make on PC. But man, it's just the gameplay is just smooth and fluid, and like you said, the recoil. You start messing with FPI of your mouse. I mean, there's so many things you could adjust to counter that. I mean, and then when Striker came in and with build diversity, well, I shouldn't say build diversity, but Striker, with stability and different perks like that. I mean, we've seen plenty of PC players. I mean, they're shooting absolute laser beams at full auto, myself included, and I'm not even that great of a shot. But there's sometimes I'm like, holy crap, my aim is on par today, and then I go to PlayStation and it's like, excuse me while I turn left, and it's like watching that commercial where the guy's like running and they play like the music and it's like dun, 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 and it's like 10 minutes to turn right, even if you jack up your sensitivity. So yeah, I wish you guys the best on console. I'll probably play a little on console.
Yeah, sorry. Somebody just knocked on my door, so my dog freaked out. Sorry about that,
chat. They don't like console. That's what the dog's saying. The dog's smart. No, I love console. Console was where I started my stream. I'm gonna be playing with yourself, Imp. I actually was playing last night. I was playing console with Kirky, Destiny. Console to me is console. It's fun. You just can't compare the two. It's not fair. It really isn't.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, I get the PC Master Race.
Yeah.
The PC Master Race discussion. It's absolutely true. It really, really is. But I still think there's the cost of accessibility of PC, and that's why consoles are still, primary and what they are. I just wish there was some way that they could balance the two, or something.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I'm with you, hundo, brother.
Mouse the JB has 12K points of contact, right? And that's that. Like, I understand that it's just not possible. And this is where actually this is another discussion. The topic.
Does it really? I didn't even know that.
That I want to put on at some point. It is specifically about cross play. Right, because I know a lot of people want cross play in every game now.
Thanks, Fortnite.
Well, you know what? And it's cool that Fortnite did it, but like,
right, it is truthfully, yeah. Jokes
the problem I have with it, and I don't want to get into it hugely because like literally we could do an hour or two just on this. But like cross save, I want for every game, and I don't know why that's not a thing. So like Division 2, I would love to have cross save because I've said that about Destiny, is even if I were to build a new PC right now, I would never buy Destiny 2 on PC because now I've got 2 years of grinding that I've done on PlayStation 4 and I lose all that stuff and have no chance to get it. Whereas, same thing on Division. Like even if I were to build it, if I would have built a PC at Christmas time, I wouldn't have bought Division 1 on PC because there's no way that I can do anything.
Wolf said, why do consoles always stay behind? It's just, my opinion and my just gut right off the cuff remark would be they're limited by hardware. They can't compete with the overall hardware.
Well, the thing is like the graphics hardware and that kind of stuff.
As far as,
they're limited slightly, but it's all cost control. It's what Crumbs just said. It's trying to get a good budget PC into something the size of half of what my first VCR was, that's portable and easily accessible, that doesn't need upgrades, and that's gonna have, a 6-year lifespan. I've said straight up that I think Microsoft should be truly innovative in their next Xbox and make it legitimately just make it a PC with plug and play components that then you can upgrade every year or 2 years or whatever.
That'd be badass.
Like,
or just leave our audio settings. Excuse my language. I'm not going to swear. Leave our audio settings the F alone.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you're starting to see Xbox. What was it? Xbox X or Xbox? I'm not familiar with Xbox, to be honest with you. But PlayStation 4 Pro, they're going like that higher 60 FPS. Like they're starting to creep up And I love it. I'm with you. That's a great point. Like, I went on vacation when I went back to Florida. I took my PlayStation with me because the wife goes to bed early, the kids go to bed. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do late at night? You can't bring your PC.
Yep.
So I threw my PS4, power cable, and an HDMI cable. You're good to go, and you're on, and you're gaming. And you could either go Wi-Fi, or you could, I actually brought along like a hardline cable with me also. Plugged it in, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And I was playing with Kirky the whole winter break while I was on, when I was down in Florida visiting. And I opened it up. It's funny, like at the airport, the guy's like, "Wow, that's a really cool PlayStation," because I have the Batman, the Arkham Asylum version.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice benefit. I mean, they're getting there. I think you'll see these consoles get better and better, and they're gonna be. I think you'll see consoles eventually see like a 60 FPS standard. And I gotta tell you, at that point, they're going to really, really push PC to do something unique, because for the money and the convenience, you're going to still get a nice gaming experience out of 60 FPS on a console.
You still do now. I think
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's the frames per second difference that's massively huge, right? The 30 to 60 on console versus PC. Whereas, like on PC, you're always going to have the extra anti-aliasing or lighting effects and shadows and stuff like that, and like particle effects are always going to be extra on PC, no matter how advanced consoles get. But that's the big thing right now that I completely agree. Once consoles go toward once the next generation comes out and they are 60 FPS, you're really going to see there's going to be more pushback. And I think that's when PCs are going to have to start really shining with all of those extra things. Because, the accessibility of it, like even Foxhound came over here to play the other day, right? And he was streaming, he just brought over his PC and did that. My PC, and I've got a beast of a tower. It weighs 50, 60 pounds. I can't ship that where I'm going. No. I can't take that. Like back in the day when you could have a desktop that ran like a 486 DX that was really, really good, you could lug that over to your friend's house because it weighed, 15 or 20 pounds. Now, with some of these towers and stuff like that, you just can't do that.
The graphics cards are beefy and getting beefier, and I mean, everything that's in them. And I mean, my tower, I'll throw it on Twitter for you guys one day. Like, it's probably the same as Janko's. It's all metal and it's all glass panels. And that's the other thing. It's like, you can't take this thing, you can't look at this thing the wrong way. Like, because it's all glass panels, like you can't just. I mean, how would I ever bring that back to Florida or travel with it? You wouldn't want to. I mean, the power supplies weigh probably 5 pounds themselves. So, I mean, that's why I still dig console, and console was very good to me, and it still is. I'm looking forward to playing with you guys. Just not, and on a personal note, just not as much because I just put so much time and effort, and so has my community, into the PC for me, and I love the experience now. But PlayStation is the great station. It'll always be baby. It's like that one. It's like the first love. You never forget your first love.
Well, it's funny because before I started streaming, I was always like never PC. Like, well, that's not true, because when I built this PC, I was more MMO gaming, so I was all about PC gaming, and I didn't even have a console at that point. And then when I got my PS4, before I started streaming, it was all about comfort for me, right? With a PC, while yes, you can hook it up to your 50-inch or your 75-inch TV in your living room and play with it, and especially with controller, like there's more of that accessibility. There needs to be a different setup, and like you have to really wire your shit for that. Whereas for me, I've got my PS4 hooked up to my TV. All I have to do is sit on my couch. I can kick back. I can relax, the controller's in my hand, and, that's it. It's super simple. If my controller dies, I pick up another one and I play again, and I just keep playing. Like, it's just super, super simple. Whereas, like, with your PC, you're at your desk, you got your mouse and your keyboard, and you're sitting up, and,
There's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah, you're playing on your little monitor instead of this giant TV or whatever. And I know monitors are beautiful and it's totally worth it and all that, but that's why I was always a big console fan instead. And then also, I could have friends over, play Madden, or even the Division or whatever, and I could be playing, everybody else is sitting around. Shit, that's the whole vibe of my Twitch channel, right? Is like, that's the exact vibe. Absolutely. So like, you can do that with a console better than you can do it in a PC, because generally a console is a living room device, whereas a PC is an office device. And But then once I started streaming, that all went the opposite way because now my PC is here at my desk. So while I'm playing, I'm sitting here anyway. So it's like,
sure,
man, I wish I had a PC.
I think that's interesting too. Is like, so I was always very much a newbie, and shout out to Black Off Tom, and I'm still really am. But if you don't know how to build a PC, now it's not quote unquote hard to do, but there's a lot of learning curve. You got to buy the right parts. You got to make certain things match up as far as like pins, if you put your RAM in the right slots, if you put your graphics card in the right slot, then once you just build it, then you got to upload everything, the windows, the drivers. There's a way more to do, and there's way more of a knowledge base that you need. Like then you said, like to your point, you need a desk, you need monitors, you need a computer chair. Whereas the console, you drive to Target, GameStop, Best Buy, plug it in, connect your Wi-Fi, you're laying on the couch, you're gaming in 5 minutes. Yep. The only thing you got to do is occasionally do like a system update or when a game has a patch, and that's it.
Yeah.
Pros and cons, like I guess like in anything in life. So
yeah, your main issue is game selection on consoles. I mean, that's pretty much the same. But this is where I'm getting at. Once you start getting, and this was the original point when the idea of a cross play came up. Is my big issue with that is you are gonna see if crossplay becomes a thing and Sony and Xbox or Sony and Microsoft finally come together and say, yup, we're gonna do this. You can now play all of your games across everything. I guarantee you, we go back to the days of the 90s with more console and PC specific titles because they're still going to need to try to find a way to maintain an advantage over their competitor. So you're going to have GTA 6 on Xbox only, the Division 3 on PS4 only, or possibly PC only. And you got to be careful of what you wish for because that's going to happen. I guarantee it if we get to crossplay.
That's a great point. That's a really good point because then they're gonna have to separate themselves from the herd somehow.
Yep,
they're gonna have to.
Yep, and I mean, think about back then, and I know consoles and like the architecture of a console versus a PC back in the 90s was way different than it is now, but the main core of it wasn't. And now as they get closer and closer to being the same thing, if you have that crossplay, man, there's gonna be, Microsoft will have an advantage in that way respect because they own Xbox. So, they can put out a Windows product that's on both. So that'll have an advantage, but then you're gonna have Sony who, has the money that they've got to throw exclusives, and it's not just going to be anymore like with the Division 1 where, you had Underground first on Xbox and PC and PlayStation 4 people had to wait for a month. It's going to be, this game is never going to be on Microsoft or Windows. It's never going to be on PC. So if you want to play it, buy a PS4. And we have that a little bit now with like God of War and, Spider-Man and things like that. But man, it's gonna be so much more blown away if they go to crossplay. It's just gonna be massively huge.
I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't.
Yeah, they sell cross save as an online service separately with each game. Oh, they will. I mean, if they have cross save, that's different than cross play, and I don't understand why they don't have cross save. To be honest with you, that's all controlled by, like, for the Division 2, that's all controlled by Ubisoft servers or whatever on their own. I don't know why they don't let us do that. It does them no, it doesn't hurt them at all to not allow us to do that. And in fact, like Foxhound said earlier, it actually hurts him because if Division or Destiny or whatever had cross save, he would be more willing to buy it on two different platforms or play it on two different platforms because he either already owns it or, like you as a streamer, Johnny, or me even, right? You've got PC people, you've got PS4 people. What have you told me so much about the Division 2 specifically, that like you want to play it on PC, but then you also want to play it on PS4 so that you can play with Imp and I, but that you have to grind it twice and you just don't have enough time. Whereas cross save, you would actually play the same, but then you'd, be able to play it on two different platforms. Even if you had to buy it on two different platforms, you would be more willing to do that because you wouldn't have to grind it on two different platforms.
And, and I know a lot of times, sometimes people say the argument to that as well. You get the OP gun on PlayStation, you save it, and you get it right to PC, and it's overpowered by, inherently by being on PC, and that's not fair. You should have to earn it. But my argument to that is you could probably earn it anyways on PC. It's just a matter of when that you're debating. So I don't think that hurts. People are always like, "Oh, that's not fair. Why should you be able to get that?" Well, listen, I feel like no matter what you're gaming on, no matter what platform you're on, that should be there. I mean, I have Destiny on PC, and I have Destiny on PlayStation because I started primarily on PS4. The community stepped up. They're like, "Hey, man, like, do you want to play on PC?" And someone was amazingly generous and donated me a copy. To this day, I probably have played 80% on PS4 and the rest on PC because I don't want to grind and get Shards of Galanor on PC, and then I'm just gonna like lose my mind when I've been trying to get it for 6 months, a year on PS4. That's one of the reasons I don't like to grind both consoles. And I think you and I have talked about that. Like, it's frustrating and it's hard to grind and get something. Like, I have certain gear on PC that I don't on PlayStation with the Division, and it's kind of frustrating and it's kind of annoying. And then certain times you want to play certain things more than the other. So I don't see it being a problem particularly, but yeah. I hope that happens one day personally.
Yeah, no, I definitely hope it happens.
Life's not fair, deal with it. Yeah.
But see, that's the thing, though, as a gamer, though, if you put in hours and hours and hours of trying to grind for one thing, especially in RNG-based games, and you can't get it, it's just really frustrating then if you do own it on two different platforms to then go to the other platform and be like, fuck, now I have to play a different way, now I can't use this. And if anything, it just forces you away from that one more so than cross-save. I don't understand why they won't do cross-save. I really don't. If I ever get a chance to interview any of like these big wigs at any of the game development companies, that's going to be my number one question. Even if I can't share it with people, I just want to know because I completely do not understand it. What's up, Edie? How you doing, man?
Edie, what's up, baby?
So was there anything else before we kind of, because it's getting to be almost 2 now, before we wrap up, Johnny, was there anything specific that we didn't cover that you want to hit on, anything like that?
No, I'm just going to actually peek through, and I guess while I'm doing that, if you want to touch on anything, please, by all means, chat. If you guys want to get any last-minute questions, comments, concerns in, I would just say, reiterate some of the important information. Again, February 7th through the 10th, beta launch date. Codes will be coming soon. We could, we haven't gotten any information, but there is, again, thank you, B. Crumbs, for reminding me, and there is... The Division is going to be doing a quote-unquote state of the game on Tuesday, so hopefully we'll find out then. I have a feeling that we'll see those codes Tuesday or Wednesday. That's speculation on my end. Initial release date, again, March 15th. Early access date, the 12th. No, I mean, honestly, I'm just looking through the site. I feel like we talked about a lot of awesome stuff today, and you guys were amazing, and I really hope you had a good time. We're going to continuously try to add new things, correct new things, and we're going to be on next week, Janko, is that correct?
Yep.
Next Saturday? Yeah. So Saturday, we'll be doing another one. Without getting too far ahead of the curve, make sure you guys are following us here. And we also have a Twitter. That's going to be the best to find out when we're live and what information. And obviously follow Janko and myself on the various Twitch and Twitter platforms that you see underneath our names, because we're going to be talking a lot about it. The VoIP. Oh man, that's a great topic. Can we get into that next week, B Crumbs? Because that's a really good topic that I think we should spend a good amount of time on. I'm actually going to jot that.
Yeah, B Crumbs. We'll jump into that next week.
Sorry,
one of the next week's show, we are definitely going to be live next week at 11 a.m. It is mid-beta, right? The beta goes live Thursday. It's live Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, like, the episode next week when we go live, I know I'm going to really be focused on talking about, like, what kind of bugs we found, what we've liked, what we haven't, what's disappointed us, if anything surprised us. The VoIP thing could definitely be interesting because we're going to be in. Saturday during the beta. I think it'll be a good time for people to come out and really discuss what they've experienced so far in the beta, right? Like, you can pop in here, say, well, I did this, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't even gotten a chance to get in there yet or to do that. dude, I can't wait to do that. So,
Right.
you know, that's what next week is really going to be about. Next week's episode is mostly going to be 100% focused on the beta. And I think the VoIP issue is a good one to have in that beta, especially once we can get in there and see how it is. And again, yeah, Kirky, like you said, you know, as long as you can talk about it, so those have not been lucky enough to play it, same thing. And, you know, Johnny and I both being streamers, you know, we could put together footage before that so that maybe the entire show next week is that other one with the video playing with some footage or something like that. You know, or we'll figure that out. Sorry, I just kind of put us on the spot.
If you have like a tablet or your phone and you're gaming, and next Saturday, and you're in the beta and you're trying it out, hey, stop in and be like, hey man, I just saw this. Did you guys see that? Like, kind of use us as a forum too. I mean, the more voices, the better, and like the more topics, the better. So yeah, I think that could be a really cool thing. Like, I'll be, I'll be obviously here, but then afterwards, I'm gonna be jumping in and I'm gonna be checking out Janko's stream and other people's streams. Don't know if I'll necessarily be streaming as well, but we'll see.
Kirky, I don't have any commands in yet. I was having issues with chatbots, so yeah, I don't have any commands in yet.
Wow.
They'll be in by next week.
For Division 1, dude, if you have a few extra bucks burning in your pocket and you haven't played a Division 1, you're just kind of here for the info and checking us out, that's a really good deal right there. Personally.
Yeah, it really is. And I know individually, you know, Johnny's info is underneath his things.
Yes,
mine, you know, you can find me. I am Janko on Twitter. I am Janko on Twitch. And the links are also in the info section down below. Make sure if you liked what was going on here on this channel today, please follow it before, you know, you back out. That way you can turn on notifications. As of right now, for the next few weeks, we are planning on being live on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. And then moving forward, that schedule might get adjusted some depending on, you know, life and everything else going on. But this is going to be primarily where our home is at this time slot. But this is the spot for, you know, Johnny and I to come together and do this. I can't tell you enough how much I can thank you guys for hanging out today, for being a part of the discussion. Like, this is what I started touching on in the beginning, and then I felt like I was going a little bit long with it, so I shut my trap. But like, this is what I love so much about the Division. I could literally go live, and I do it on my own channel where I have just chatting, you know, entire streams where we just sit there. I think 3 days ago we sat for almost 4 hours just talking about the Anthem beta. So like, this is what I value most about Twitch and why I will never be a YouTuber as opposed to a streamer, because I like the interaction. I like going back and forth, but I also really like the format of this where, you know, we're talking and we can really get out our sides, because honestly, Johnny's called me before and he's been like, hey man, can you talk for a couple minutes? And literally it's 40 minutes later and I realize I've done nothing but sit in the car and just talk. So I know that we can do that back and forth. So I really appreciate all of you guys for being here, all the follows, the conversation in chat, your time. Thank you so much for all that.
I couldn't agree more. It was really cool to see before we even went live. We had followers, we had views. People have been awesome on Twitter. This is exactly what we're looking for. Like, this type of chat, comments, people interacting. Like, no one's saying, you're stupid for liking this, you're stupid for liking that. Like, we want to take this and just keep running with it. I had a blast. I love this format too, because like Janko said, I really mesh well with him as far as like communication back and forth. And it's going to be really fun when we disagree on stuff too, because we disagree respectfully.
Predmark is awesome. Shut up, Johnny.
Predmark is really Predmark sucks.
Predmark's amazing in PvE. 2.8 million bleeds, but that's cool. I'm sure you can do that with all the other gear sets that you like. But
wrong.
I'm actually not wrong, but I've got video proof of it. 2.8 million bleeds. Thank you very much. Yes, that was 2.8 million point bleeds, guys.
2.8 million. That was
2.8 million point bleeds. But that's cool. I'm sure you can do that with Nomad.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Probably not. But guys, yeah, seriously, thank you. I want to thank everybody for following the channel, even following myself on Twitter. Again, you can find me on Twitter at JohnnyBoom1128, and you can find me on Twitch at JohnnyBoom5. JB still runs Striker in PvP, so don't listen to him. It's actually a PvE build in PvT too, so that's awesome.
Yeah, B-Crumbs, I don't mean to interrupt you, Johnny, during your thing, but like B-Crumbs said this would be a great hub to get events, tourneys, and stuff together. Here's the thing, B-Crumbs, like this, when we say that we want this to be community related and oriented, it's not a joke. It's not just a thing. Like, we were doing shout outs for different streamers and YouTubers and stuff like that we know that all put out good Division content. Splinter Shield runs Splinter Shield here on Twitch runs like survival tournaments and stuff like that. So we're gonna be like, promoting all of that stuff as we go. I literally have a show topic specifically for streaming the Division 2 when it launches that I want to do a segment on to like really contact or connect with other streamers so that, we can have some different ideas about stuff like that and community focus events. And, so like hit us up on Twitter. I know Johnny gave it out already, but it's at Division Debrief on Twitter. If you guys know of some artists or, anybody within the Division community, right? Community fan fiction, like Division fan fiction or artists or whatever, send us a tweet. Let us know about it so that we can kind of pimp those people out, or not pimp them out, but like, so that we can promote them.
We're working on it.
So I got stuck my P words sometimes, pimp, promote, same thing. But, so that we can promote them and try to get a lot of that community feel going, because one of the things about the Destiny community, we've talked about it early on, and I know a couple other people said that like how toxic the Division community did get. One of the things that I've always loved about the Destiny community is what a sense of community there is within everybody, right? If you are on a big Redditor, if you're well known for being a Reddit Destiny person, there's a lot of love there for the streamers, and there's a lot of love from the streamers to the lore people, and there's a lot of love from the lore people to the general community, who they all feed each other information, and I want that kind of vibe in the Division moving forward, because we've never had that before. And like, I want World's First Raid in the Division 2 to be a fucking event, right? Pardon my friend, I've been swearing way too much, I apologize, but like, I want that to be an event that like everybody is just going nuts about, right? Like Twitch exploded during, the Last Wish raid, World's First and stuff. And I think we as a community really have a chance to capture some of that. And that's what we want to do here, is just kind of bring light to that and have a forum for it.
Which would be amazing too, because I think the one thing that you saw with a lot of the survival tournaments is you saw a lot of these other players who were really talented, who you may not even known existed. I mean, I know I played in the tournament. I was out in both instances within 10 minutes because there was really other talented players, and sometimes you didn't always know that. And I think that brought that to life. It brought the excitement to life. And I think there are some really good Division players out there, not only streamers but just players, and let's let it shine, man. Let's let their talents be known, and let's try to emulate, and let's try to learn from them. That's the best thing I learned post year 1 to year 2 in the Division. So I think we're gonna have a lot of cool content on the stream. I don't want to talk about it just yet. A lot of segments, if you will, that you guys will really like. I'm just catching up on chat.
Blue Thunder fan fiction. That actually made my skin crawl a little bit, because I know where my brain went with that.
But you guys will like it, man. And the one thing I will say, and I want to thank Janko for the first episodes. I had a blast. He puts a lot of time and effort into it, and I've been trying to match that as well, because we owe it to the community, and we've really enjoyed doing it. So I'm really awesome. I'm really happy, rather, that you guys had an awesome time, and I look forward to next Saturday. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and thank you too to Johnny, because like since we started talking about it, it really has, like, it's been something that I have a tendency to let things slide or like kind of push them back, and we've really kind of pushed each other in ways to really make sure that this happens and comes together. This is not an easy project, so Crumbs, hopefully we reach out to Hammock, Yannick, Petter, and all of them. To be completely honest, I feel weird about that. Like, I don't want to go to them and be like, hey, we did this thing, watch us. Like, to me, that should come about from like the community either appreciating it and bringing it up, or them just noticing it because it's getting a lot of hype. I think that builds more organic growth and builds more organic positivity than me going to them and going like, hey dude, we're doing a thing, watch. That just makes it look kind of differently. But I would love it if Hammock,
by all means. Hammock. They're welcome to come hang out for sure, man. I agree with Janko.
Hamish and Yannick are just Hammock.
Oh, jeez. This is why we can't have nice things.
Right. Do you have any last words, Johnny?
I don't. I will just say I hope you guys had a great time. Enjoy your weekend. Stay blessed. As we say in the Boom Squad family, I want to thank the Living the Dream family. I want to thank Janko. And I will look forward to seeing you guys for the beta. And hopefully you guys will come check us out next Saturday at 11 a.m. Until then, I'll let Janko say his adieus. And I appreciate you guys. I love you guys.
When are you streaming next? When are you streaming next?
I may stream tonight. If not, we will be on stream tomorrow. I'll tweet out when I'm going to be on because it's a little fluctuating with times for tomorrow. So
sweet. Sounds good. Everybody, thank you again for all of that. I will... Definitely, I don't want to say I definitely will. I'm going to try to stream tonight on my own channel. The Anthem beta is still going, and I'm really hooked on it. So if I do, it'll be Anthem tonight, and then tomorrow I'm going to try. So if I'm not on tonight, I definitely will be tomorrow before the Super Bowl. Go Rams, fuck the Pats.
You're fake news.
I forgot to mute Johnny before I said that, but I will next time. But no, seriously, I really do appreciate you guys. I know there's a thing in the info channel that like we haven't been thanking followers and all that as they come up. We just can't in a format like this. So every show at the end,
thank you for every follower.
We're gonna roll credits at the end that'll show everybody that followed and supported us through it throughout that episode. Hopefully this works. We'll see. So definitely stay tuned. Watch the credits roll, and then we'll see you live next Saturday here again at 11 a.m. You guys fucking rock. I love you guys. You guys rock. We'll see you next time.
See you guys
with the next debrief.
Absolutely.